Chapter 470. Chang Yuzhou was one of the strongest among the sages. The current sages, such as Li Wanlong, the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor, and the Black Heaven-Earth Sect leader, were all inferior to him. Even though Chang Weiyang had comprehended the Tao of Divergence, his battle prowess was still inferior to that of a veteran sage like Chang Yuzhou. Chang Yuzhou had been invincible in the past. He had rebelled against the Black Heaven-Earth Sect, and this number one force could do nothing to him. This showed how powerful he was. He had reached a level where he could tear the heavens and overturn the earth. This universe thunder pool was also a connate numinous treasure that he had obtained. Now, Gu Chansha had activated the Heavenly Tao technique and injected it into the universe thunder pool. It actually felt as though Chang Yuzhou had been pulled out of the fusion of the Heavenly Tao. This was simply heaven-defying. Of course, this could be a special characteristic of the Heavenly Tao technique. Chang Yuzhou was only manifesting his spirit. To truly revive, Gu Chansha would probably have to cultivate to the same level as the three Heavenly Venerables. However, it was just a possibility. It could not be guaranteed to work, but it gave people hope. After Chang Yuzhou manifested his spirit and saw the quality of the Heavenly Tao technique that Gu Chansha had cultivated, he immediately understood what was going on. Gu Chansha's dermic powers were insufficient, and his cultivation level was too low. He could not allow him to exist for any longer. Therefore, he immediately injected his lifetime of memories and comprehension, as well as countless cultivation techniques, into Gu Chansha's spiritual sea. Given the vastness of his memories, any other expert would have instantly lost their original consciousness. However, this did not matter to Gu Chansha. The quality of his Heavenly Tao technique could store countless memories. After giving Gu Chansha all his memories, Chang Yuzhou gradually disappeared, and the universe thunder pool returned to its original appearance. After seeing this, Chang Weiyang and the others were all shocked. They looked at each other and only regained their senses after a long while. I did not expect the quality of the Heavenly Tao technique to be able to pull back a sage who had already achieved Tao integration. Wen Hong's face was filled with joy. Looks like this kid will be very valuable in the future. No matter what, the Black Universe sect will fully nurture him. Chang Weiyang said decisively, "My father actually imparted all his cultivation memories and experiences to this kid. The profound Cosmos Gate is no longer a secret to him. Truly formidable. This brat's future achievements will surely surpass ours by a lot. Let's see how he cultivates now." Profound Sky was still studying. At this moment, Gu Chansha had already transformed into the purest form of magic power. It was constantly changing and squirming, as though it was digesting the experiences and memories that Chang Yuzhou had transmitted to it. Countless pieces of information rolled around in that mass of magic power of his. His magic power gradually took on the color of chaos. Could it be that he wants to turn his magic power into chaos? How is this possible? Wen Hong's eyes widened as he thought to himself, a Heaven's Path magical power can actually simulate primal chaos? In the end, Gu Chansha transformed into a sphere that resembled primal chaos. It spun constantly, and within it were all sorts of magical treasures. There was the immortal slaying god Executioner Gourd, the universe lightning pool, the common life's wish sphere, the heavenly demon tree, and more. The speed of these changes became faster and faster, causing one's eyes to be unable to take it all in. In the end, it returned to chaos. Just like that, he continued to calculate, change, squirm, and flicker. He continued to calculate for an entire month. In the end, there was a loud explosion, and Gu Chansha transformed back into himself. His cultivation realm didn't increase, and he was still at the Tao realm 22 transformation phenomenon. However, his familiarity with magic power, his understanding of the Heaven Tao, his comprehension of tribulations, his usage of magical techniques, and his future cultivation were all things that the him from a month ago couldn't compare to. His magic power transformation had completely exceeded the river of all things. Returning to the source, he could pretty much transform into chaotic energy. He could shatter all things and turn them into chaos. With his current killing strength, If he transformed into the immortal slaying god executioner flying knife, it would be twice as strong as a month ago. His various transformation techniques had also improved greatly. This time, he had completely received Chang Yuzhou's legacy. The process of Chang Yuzhou cultivating step by step, comprehending step by step, finally becoming a sage, and then finally merging with the Tao was deeply engraved in his memory, and he had completely digested it. He had received the scattered memories of the Lord of Seven Stars, Jiang Gongwang, as well as a small portion of the Xingqiang clan's memories. He had also received the scattered memories of the demon race sages. Although he had a lot of knowledge, it wasn't complete. He didn't have a path that connected the entire timeline. But now, all of Chang Yuzhou's memories were fused into his enlightenment. It was like he had a backbone, allowing him to connect all of the sages' fragmented enlightenment together and form a complete path. At the same time, all of the secret magics of the Black Heaven Earth Gate and the techniques of the Black Sect of the universe were under his control. Chang Yuzhou was one of the upper echelons of the Black Heaven Earth Gate. Naturally, he had learned all of the secret magics. He had also created the Black Sect of the universe's techniques. Everything he had learned in his life could be said to be a heterogeneous collection of knowledge. Furthermore, he had established his own sect, starting from the most minute details. Gu Qinsha continued to calculate and circulate. With this as the backbone, like the axle of a wheel, he connected the common people to mend the heavens and reform the heavens, complementing each other. The great massacre divine art and the son of heaven's god sealing art became even more closely integrated. Kill. A beam of light pierced through the eons, destroying the spring and autumn. Gu Qinsha emerged from the pool of lightning. Many thanks to the Black Sect of the universe for helping me. I have received all of Senior Chang Yuzhou's memories, including his cultivation experience and enlightenment. This kind of opportunity will definitely be rewarded. In the future, when my cultivation succeeds, I will definitely separate Senior Chang Yuzhou from the process of Tao unification and resurrect him. Gu Qinsha clasped his hand sincerely. This is also my father's fortuitous encounter. Chang Weiyang took out a talisman, which shone with the aura of a primordial witchcraft curse. You cultivated in the pool of lightning for a month. The three of us used the Xingqiang clan's techniques and primordial witchcraft to refine this talisman. It can assist you in your transformation, allowing you to perfectly simulate the transformations of Do 19. When in danger, use this talisman. It can unleash immense power to tear apart the enemy and protect you while escaping. However, this talisman can only be used once against an enemy. It is equivalent to the three of us joining forces and attacking with all our might. Understand. Gu Qinsha took the talisman and felt the immense power contained within. He nodded to himself and infused his magic power into it. Instantly, the talisman completely lost its ripples and became like the void. What do the three of you think of the demon disaster? Gu Qinsha asked again. Actually, whether it was the Legalists, the Black Heaven Earth sect, Wu Dankong, and the Others Heaven Alliance, or the Great Might Dynasty, none of them were the main threats. The great calamity of this world was the demon disaster. The demonic nature that represented chaos and the spiritual nature that represented order clashed. Yin and yang clashed, and darkness and light opposed each other. The demon disaster had always been Gu Qinsha's greatest worry. If he could eliminate the demon disaster, everything could be easily dealt with. The demon disaster is unavoidable. When Hong said, I've already seen where the seal in the demon domain is broken. Many of the demon race's demon gods and demon sages work together to set up the stronghold. It's boiling with demonic nature and is about to succeed. The demon disaster could happen at any time. The three of us can't stop it. Even the three heavenly venerables won't stop it. It's like when yin and yang lose their balance and suddenly explode, no one will stop it. Because the longer they delay it, the greater the power of the explosion. When a flood comes, it doesn't stop it. Instead, it releases. The more it is blocked, the more ferocious the flood will be. Tai Xian said, I think it's best for the tranquil immortal department to avoid it. Right now, it's already become a critical point for the demonic nature to boil. If the demon disaster breaks out, the first to attack will be the tranquil immortal department. The consequences will be hard to predict. I also know about this. But if the tranquil immortal department retreats, won't the common people suffer? Those aristocratic families definitely won't go up against it. They will only defend their own territories and let the demon disaster wreak havoc before coming out to clean up the mess. They do this every time. But after the demon disaster breaks out, they will come out to take advantage of it. Gu Qinsha frowned. The world is in such a good situation. The common people are living extremely well now. But after the demon disaster breaks out, the world will be in ruins. Someone needs to stand on the front lines. Those who stand on the front lines will basically all die. For example, in history, the first time the common people rebelled, they definitely opened up a path for the true king and became cannon fodder. When Hong shook his head, where there's life, there's hope. The tranquil immortal department is the hope of the common people. If you fall in the first wave of the demon disaster, I'm afraid that all hope will be lost. Moreover, your cultivation bases aren't high enough. You need to avoid the demon disaster and make a comeback. If one of you becomes a deity, then you might have a high chance of growing stronger in the demon disaster. But right now, you are just too weak. The difference between having a deity and not having a deity was too great. A deity could use the power of the world and unleash all sorts of might. The common people's wish sphere could only be fully activated by a deity and unleash its greatest power. Even if there are millions of people, I will still go forward. Gu Qinsha laughed. If the demon disaster breaks out, so be it. We have to stand at the forefront and be the ones to control the tide. Only in the face of the most intense heaven and earth calamity can we stimulate ourselves and show our true colors of life and death. You are indeed a young man, full of drive. Chang Weiyang waved her hand, and the situation of the bottomless sea of sin appeared. At the place where the seal was broken, the devil chi had reached its peak. It was pitch black, and there seemed to be countless devil thunder rumbling. Even Chang Weiyang couldn't figure out what was inside. It was a devil formation set up by many demon god experts and demon saints. In addition, there was also the prison-suppressing black tablet left behind by the king of gods, king of hell, king of evil gods, and the strongest god, God Maha. This tablet had the power to seize the fortune of heaven and earth and operate the supreme mysteries of the universe. In terms of true strength, God Maha should be comparable to any of the three heavenly venerables. He far surpassed Chang Weiyang and won Hong's Tai Xuandu. According to the ranks, the cultivation of a deity was below that of a sage. But a deity was not a true god. They didn't have a title or a deity position. A deity who obtained a deity position would not only greatly increase their strength, but their lifespan would also increase tenfold. Chapter 471. God Maha had been sealed by the heavenly talisman emperor, but he was not dead. He would definitely cause trouble. For example, he would create many chess pieces in the demon domain in preparation for him to break the seal. Facing such a difficult enemy, Gu Qinsha also felt that there was no hope. But it was in despair that he could explode with a powerful battle intent and break through to a certain realm. The demon disaster is about to break out. Courage alone is not enough. We need to have meticulous countermeasures and great strength. But I believe that Brother Taxian will definitely have a way. He left behind many tricks. He will not watch the good situation of the divine prefecture that he had painstakingly created be destroyed. When Hong was very confident in the heavenly talisman emperor. We can't rely on Father for everything. It seems that the three of you will not take action when the demon disaster breaks out. Gu Qinsha also knew that whether it was Chang Weiyang, Tai Xuandu, or Wen Hong, they all had their own things to do. The people of the world were not very important to them. After the demon disaster broke out, spirituality would be suppressed to the extreme and would counterattack. The human race would not go extinct and would continue to thrive in the future. This was already looking at the human race from the height of a god. Moreover, The major mystical sects had also raised ordinary people and built countries in the plains at the foot of their sections. As for the people of the divine central continent, they could not be bothered with them. Only Guqin Sha could not bear to see the people lose their homes, break up their families, and suffer. Moreover, whether it was Tai Xuandu or Chang Weiyang, they had to guard against the three heavenly masters, while Wenhong had to guard against the great spirit god's plots. Each had their own enemies and opponents. Guqin Sha could understand them. In short, when the demon disaster broke out, whether it was the Tai mystical sect, the Cosmos mystical sect, or Wenhong, none of them could be counted on. They can only fight on their own. I have benefited a lot this time. I will go back now and obtain the secrets of the Dharma Saint as soon as possible. As Guqin Sha cupped his hands, his body flashed, and he had already left the Cosmos mystical sect. He was much faster than before. If this kid can survive the devil calamity, then he'll be truly invincible, Chang Weiyang said. I hope he can survive. My father still needs him to resurrect. I wonder if he can obtain the secrets of the Dharma Saint. Wenhong said, I don't know how the Dharma Saint's current cultivation is. Has he broken through the 36 transformations and achieved a cultivation that is beyond the 3 realms and not within the 5 elements? If he's able to resist the summons of the heavenly Tao, he might really be able to stand side by side with the 3 great heavenly venerables. Let's see if Guqin Sha can figure it out. Let's not talk about anything else. He's very useful in charging and breaking through enemy lines. Tai Xian said, At least we obtained the Dragon Raising Heart Sutra and many secrets of the 3 sky venerables. We can study them and accumulate strength. There will be many tribulations in the future, and if we aren't careful, we might even die. We have to use the Dragon Raising Heart Sutra carefully and slowly. We can't spread it in the sect. We even have to lay down a curse. If we spread it, we must immediately forget about this sutra. Chang Weiyang said, This is a national weapon. I estimate that if this sutra is used with the resources of our sect, we can probably produce 1,000 geniuses within 3 years. 1,000 geniuses is too terrifying. In 30 or 300 years, our sect's combined strength can definitely crush the Black Heaven Earth sect. Tai Xian's tone was a little excited. If we get the Dragon Making Heart Sutra, don't celebrate too early. Wenhong said, The Dragon Raising Heart Sutra and the Dragon Making Heart Sutra were both obtained from Battle 19. We don't know how many years the 3 sky venerables have mastered these 2 secret sutras, and how many geniuses they have cultivated. Perhaps on another continent far away from the divine central continent, the 3 sky venerables have built an even larger empire. We can't rule out this possibility. Chang Weiyang said, The land of infinity is boundless. We can't even calculate its borders. No one knows which corner of the world has a huge empire. Since ancient times, even the saints have not been able to completely explore the land of infinity. We don't know how such a huge continent can exist in the universe. Tai Xian said, But there is no doubt that the divine central continent is the center of the land of infinity. There is another rumor. The land of infinity is actually expanding all the time. It is born automatically. I don't know if it is true or not. Wenhong frowned. It is said that the land of infinity is actually a living thing. We are all inside this living thing, and the divine central continent is where the consciousness of the land of infinity is. If the land of infinity is a living thing, it is too terrifying. Tai Xian recalled. But I have heard of this rumor. A long time ago, there was a rumor that the land of infinity was a living thing. It kept swallowing chaos, the void, and the stars to expand itself. A long time ago, the land of infinity had a border. But now, it is getting more and more boundless. The primordial tree, the heaven sacrifice talisman, the primordial dragon sect, the land of infinity. These are all things that we cannot understand. I wonder if the 3 heavenly venerables can understand them. According to the memories that Guqin Sha obtained from Do 19, the 3 heavenly venerables are plucking some treasures from the primordial tree. Chang Weiyang calculated with her fingers. It seems like we have to calculate the location of the primordial tree and see what the three heavenly venerables are doing. At this time, Gu Chansha left the universe mystic door and flew all the way to his fief. He entered the common people's wish sphere again. Zhuge Yu was still circulating his magic power. He used the Tai Pearl to break down the chaos energy and infused it into the heavenly demon tree to speed up its growth. The azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise were also hiding in the tree. They communicated and cultivated with each other. With the help of the heavenly demon tree, their cultivation speed was extremely fast. As their cultivation level increased, the connate four symbols chi that they breathed in and out could also regulate the heavenly demon tree's meridians. They complemented each other. In the heavenly demon tree that was refined by many sages of the ancient demon race, even a matured tree couldn't gather all four of the sacred beasts. From the looks of it now, the celestial tranquility department was indeed blessed by the heavens. Any cultivator who cultivated under the heavenly demon tree would be nourished by the essence energy of the tree. It was better than consuming any elixir. It was better to lean against the tree and enjoy the shade. Above the sphere, a ball of oath power was burning like a fireball. The oaths made by all living beings were getting stronger and stronger. This meant that the common people's wish academy that the Celestial Tranquility Department had created was getting wider and wider. Its ideals had already converged into a trend of thought. When Gu Chansha entered the sphere, he transmitted a memory to Zhuge Yu without saying anything. It was a memory left behind by Chang Yuzhou. These memories were the complete comprehension of the final fusion of the Tao from a mortal to a sage. There was the helplessness when he was weak, the hardships of cultivation, the gains and losses of battles with others, the joy and struggle of overcoming many difficulties step by step, the hesitation when he encountered bottlenecks, the despair after facing certain death, and the joy of escaping from a hopeless situation. Finally, there was the effort of trying to survive in this world and resist the call of the heavenly Tao. But in the end, it was all in vain. All of this, bit by bit, formed the life of this strange person, Chang Yuzhou. Chang Yuzhou transmitted all of his life's energy to Gu Chansha in an instant, planting a seed of hope in himself. He hoped that one day, Gu Chansha would be able to avoid the detours he had taken, surpass him, and finally save him from the Tao integration. Zhuge Yu took a full hour before he completely accepted Chang Yuxing's life. He pondered for a long time, and his eyes suddenly burst with light. The mana all over his body changed endlessly, and he once again turned into a wheel of light. This time, what appeared in the light was not what happened in the past, but what happened in the future. I can't believe I broke through to the 24 transformation just like that. Peering into the future, as expected of the Lord of Seven Stars. Gu Chansha was overjoyed. Every time Zhuge Yu's cultivation level increased, not only would his intelligence increase, but his magic power would undergo a heaven-toppling, earth-toppling transformation. Most importantly, he could gain enlightenment of the world-burying coffin in the depths of the chaotic flows of space and time. He could learn even more of Jiang Gongwang's secrets. In the future, he would be even more confident in obtaining the world-burying coffin. Chang Yuzhou's life is extremely valuable. His entire life, from birth to becoming a saint and Tao integration, is recorded in it, no matter how big or small. Everything is recorded in it. Digesting his memories is like going through a cycle of reincarnation. I gained a great understanding of my life. You could say that no saint would show you everything they have experienced. In particular, the struggle during the Tao integration, the struggle against the heavens, is a unique experience. Zhuge Yu sighed. In the end, Chang Yuzhou's cultivation was about the same as Jiang Gongwang's, but he still couldn't escape the call of the heavenly Tao. My cultivation of the heavenly Tao seems to be able to pull him out of the heavenly Tao integration. Gu Chansha said, Mr. Zhuge, now that you've broken through to the 24 transformation, peering into the future, your magic power has improved. You can clearly see many directions in the future. What do you think we should do? Your Highness, you've been cultivating in the Cosmos Mystic Gate for a month. About 20 days ago, people from the School of Legalism came to our Calming Immortal department. They wanted to obtain the Dragon Nurturing Cultivation Technique and Dragon Creation Cultivation Technique. Their condition was to send some legalist disciples to join our Calming Immortal department. We will provide them with medicinal pills, armor, weapons, and magic treasures. Only then will they be able to help us resist the demons. Zhuge laughed coldly. It seems the School of Legalism is extremely arrogant. I knew the School of Legalism would do this. Gu Chench's expression was calm. The School of Legalism is essentially no different from the ape race. Of course, the reason they're so arrogant is because the Dharma Saint is still alive. It doesn't matter if he's alive or not. Zhuge is suddenly pointed. Under the control of his magic power, a huge clump of the oath of the common people's wish suddenly fell into the heavenly demon tree. Your Highness, use your heavenly Tao art to help me. Transform the heavenly demon tree into a tree of wishes. Tree of wishes? Gu Qinsha was puzzled. Chapter 472. Zhuge appointed. A huge amount of memories and treasures cultivation methods rolled in. A tree structure that was similar to the heavenly demon tree, but completely different appeared in his sea of consciousness. Gu Chench's body had completely transformed into dermic powers. His sea of consciousness was just a mass of yuan qi hidden within the dermic powers. Furthermore, every trace of dermic powers in his body could store memories and operate thoughts. In the past, too many memories could even burst his sea of consciousness, but now, no matter how many memories there were, he could contain them all. When the sage's memory entered his magic power, it was like a clay ox entering the sea, unable to cause any ripples. It really is the tree of wishes. Gu Qinsha observed the condensation method in his memory and comprehended the nature of the heavenly demon tree. He understood the stories and efforts of the ancient emperors and Jiangongwang. The heavenly demon tree and the tree of wishes actually had the same core principles, but the key areas were very different. The essence of the heavenly demon tree was the primordial demon Tao. It was a naked plunder, the survival of the fittest. When the heavenly demon tree had just been born, it was still a seedling. The moment it was born, it had stolen all the vitality from the life's wish sphere. On the other hand, the tree of wishes was upright, containing good wishes. It was a tree of the human race. Zhuge had obtained all of Chan Yuzhou's memories, allowing him to comprehend the 24 transformations and peer into the future. From there, he had obtained even more secrets from the world-burying coffin. This secret was the method to condense the tree of wishes. Transforming from the heavenly demon tree to the wishing tree is actually the same as turning into a demon. We just happen to obtain the connate numinous treasure, the myriad demon-human transformation diagram. This diagram has already been integrated into the heavenly demon tree and is beginning to transform. As the foundation, we will inject the common people's oath into it and use spiritual power to reverse the structure. From now on, the heavenly demon tree will become a thing of the past, an even stronger wishing tree, Zhuge said. That's right. In ancient times, the heavenly sons of heaven and the Lord of Seven Stars, Jiangongwang, discovered the wish tree after researching the heavenly demon tree and the grand mist tree. Gu Qinsha said, the wish tree has the mysteries of the heavenly demon tree. The mysteries that the heavenly demon tree doesn't have, the wish tree also has them. At this moment, he was experienced and knowledgeable. He was proficient in endless ancient secrets. He was completely familiar with any cultivation technique and magical treasures with just a glance. He could understand the secrets within them and transform them on his own. Rumble. His entire body turned into a mass of primal chaos that was directly injected into the heavenly demon tree. He used his own spiritual power to change the heavenly demon tree, turning it into a tree of wishes. The quality of the Heaven's Path art was most suitable for forging magic treasures. After changing the material, it would never regress. Right now, Gu Chinch's spiritual power was incomparably vigorous, almost limitless. He was also proficient in the great god massacre art and the son of heaven's god bestowal art. Combining them, with a single thought, he could open up an endless number of dimensions. The energy of each dimension would pour down like a waterfall, and then rearrange and mix, giving birth to endless wonders. Of God of Hevoth, of ancient times to of the Hevoth the ancient times. Of Gu Jiang, probably also the Wang of the Hevoth the of Tao. Of the ancient times, Qi had been. Of Wang of Yi, using the heavenly Tao art's quality to change the structure of the heavenly demon tree and use it as a foundation to transform it into a wish tree was far more convenient than any of the ideas of the ancient emperors. Gu Chansha injected himself into the heavenly demon tree and spread its branches and leaves. Immediately, the tyrannical aura of the primeval demon, Tao, receded like a receding tide. In its place was a peaceful, vast, warm, and cool aura. The wish of all life merged into the wish tree and used its power to slowly transform the heavenly demon tree into a wish tree, closer to the primordial tree. The quality of the heavenly Tao art is indeed amazing. Any magical treasure that is nourished by this art will be completely reborn. Even if it's the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, or black tortoise, it can grow rapidly. Zhuge sighed in admiration. If not for the heavenly Tao art appearing in the world, the heavenly demon tree would never have been able to transform into a wish tree. For an ordinary metal weapon to be transformed into an artifact, ordinary cultivators would place it in a spirit-gathering formation and slowly nurture it for hundreds or even thousands of years. Slowly, it would gain spirituality and wonder. Brilliant cultivators would soak it in spirit liquid. An even faster method of evolution was to use heavenly dew. However, heavenly dew was not as good as Gu Chinch's Sun Moon Dragon Blood. The Sun Moon Dragon Blood was not as good as the Sun Moon Dragon Energy, which was not as good as the Sun Moon Dragon Primordial Spirit. It was not as good as the Sun Moon Dragon Elixir or the Sun Moon Dragon Art. All of these could not be compared to the heavenly Tao art. Time flew by again. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Under Gu Chinch's care, the heavenly demon tree shrunk again. Its power condensed and covered a radius of dozens of miles. Finally, it became a small sapling that was only about a foot tall. The azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise floated in the air and revolved around the sapling. The sapling emitted a gentle glow. Billions of halos floated around the sapling. It was as if it was in a different space. Within the sphere of the wish of all life, colorful clouds floated everywhere. Then, all of them were absorbed by the sapling. Then it brewed and spat out. Chila, waves of fusion elemental energy, fell like a waterfall and were all absorbed by the newly born wish tree. It did not even need the Tai pearl to filter it. It could be completely digested. The absorption ability of the wish tree far exceeded that of the heavenly demon tree. If not for absorbing the myriad demon human transformation painting, the heavenly demon tree would not have been able to transform into a wish tree. During the refinement process, Gu Chansha had completely understood the secret. After his magic power came out of the cosmic lightning pool, it was even more exquisite. It was like the spring breeze and rain, silently transforming the treasure in nature. The ultimate goal of the demon race was to become a human being. The evolution of the heavenly demon tree into a wish tree was the process of demons becoming humans. If not for the myriad demon-human transformation painting, which was a connate numinous treasure, Gu Qinsha would have needed decades to transform the heavenly demon tree into a wish tree. The myriad demon-human transformation painting was a connate numinous treasure obtained by the 4 great apes of the ape race. The 4 great apes had gathered all the power of the ape race and refined the painting for thousands of years. It had accumulated a huge amount of demonic energy and world energy. Although it had been integrated into the heavenly demon tree, it had not been digested. In the past 6 months, Gu Chansha had used the heavenly Tao technique to completely refine the huge amount of demonic energy accumulated in the myriad demon-human transformation painting. It was like the scorching sun shining on an iceberg, melting it. Once it was melted, the power of the tree would be released and transformed. Finally, it broke through the threshold and was refined into a wish tree. After the wish tree is formed, the days of our tranquil fairy department will be much better. Zhuge is suddenly pointed and activated the sapling. A ring immediately formed on the sapling. Gu Qinsha made a grabbing motion and the ring appeared on his hand. He sent his dermic powers into it and found that the space inside the ring was extremely stable. It was 10 feet in length, width, and height. It was 3 times larger than the space inside the ring that had been formed by the heavenly demon tree. That was not all. The speed at which the sapling condensed the interspatial ring had greatly increased. Back then, in order to activate the heavenly demon tree to condense the interspatial ring, Zhuge had spent a full day and night. If he wanted to condense a second ring, he had to rest for 7 days. Now, with a casual movement, he had completely created a ring with a larger space in a few breaths. It seemed like this ring could be mass-produced. Gu Qinsha knew that there were 2 reasons for this. One was that the heavenly demon tree had turned into a wish tree and its ability had increased greatly. The second was that Zhuge's realm had increased by 2. At the start, he was at the 22nd transformation of heaven and earth. Now, he had broken through and actually reached the 24th transformation of future peak. The 23rd transformation of capital realm peak into the past, and the 24th transformation of future peak were the 2 most crucial gates. Once one comprehended them, there would be supreme uses, and one would be able to allow one's dermic powers to seep into the essence of time. For example, if the spiritual power of the Tao realm 22 transformation phenomenon of heaven and earth was a thread, then the spiritual power of the 23 transformation reflecting the past was a steel wire. The 24th transformation of future peak was a diamond thread. The toughness and mysteriousness of the dermic powers couldn't be compared to the past. Gu Chansha had now obtained the lifetime effort of a saint like Chang Yuzhou, but he was still stuck at the 22 transformations and was unable to improve. Even though he had comprehended many things during the half a year he had spent condensing this tree of wishes, it was still of no use. During this half a year, we have been cultivating in the common people's wish ball and allowed the heavenly demon tree to evolve into a wish tree. During this period of time, we haven't produced anything. For example, human dragon pellets, human dragon armor, and human dragon sword have all stopped production. I am afraid that many problems have arisen outside. Gu Qinsha said, "Luckily, we had some in stock, so we wouldn't be in trouble. It is okay. We can increase production now. We can also sell the space rings to the Celestial Path sect. That is a huge profit." Zhuge looked at the sky of the common people's wish ball. If not for the demon calamity, then our calming celestial sector's era would have arrived. Gu Qinsha knew that creating human dragon pellets, human dragon swords, and human dragon armors wasn't much. Only those who could mass-produce space rings were the true giants. Even in the Celestial Path sect, space rings were really rare. Even geniuses at the 18 transformations of Tao realm might not have one. Even the Grand Elder at the Dermic Power realm didn't have one. This was because only God-grade experts could create space rings. Even experts at the 29 transformation who comprehended chaos couldn't create a stable space. If these space rings entered the Celestial Path sect, numerous cultivators would fight to the death to snatch them. They were willing to pay any price. Chapter 473. There was no telling how long he cultivated. Gu Qinsha only needed to circulate his energy, and before he knew it, a month had passed. 3 months. Half a year. If he continued like this, he wouldn't be able to sense the vicissitudes of the human world, nor would he be able to sense how much time had affected the mortal world. In short, long periods of secluded cultivation could temper his magic power and make it purer, but it had little to no effect on his cultivation. Now that the wish tree was complete, the development of the life's wish sphere came to a temporary halt. He needed to go out and finish his unfinished business. His top priority was to obtain the secrets of the Dharma saint from the legalists. It would be best if he could learn from Chang Yuzhou and obtain all of the Dharma saint's memories. That way, his future path of cultivation would be smooth sailing. Chang Yuzhou's memories were of enormous benefit to Gu Qinsha, but they couldn't compare to the Dharma saints. The Dharma saint's comprehension of magic power and his research of the heavenly Tao were things that Gu Qinsha absolutely needed to obtain. The legalists actually put forth such harsh conditions. They clearly don't care about the calmness immortal department at all, and they even want to kill me. If we don't weaken the legalists, then when the devil calamity comes, the legalists will be the first to attack us. Gu Qinsha knew that because of the Dragon-Raising Heart Sutra, the Dragon-Making Heart Sutra, the Heaven Demon Tree, the Life's Wish Sphere, and even the Lord of Seven Stars, the Calmness Immortal Department was a juicy piece of meat to the legalists. He gave Zhuge a few instructions, then headed back to the Dharma province. I haven't been out for half a year. I've been focusing on turning the Heaven Demon Tree into the Wish Tree. It seems the world has changed yet again. This time, Gu Qinsha was carefully observing the world. In the sky, he transformed into a gentle breeze, a white cloud, and the light of the sun and moon. In the blink of an eye, the entire divine continent was enveloped by his gaze. The destiny of the entire divine continent was growing stronger and stronger. It was no longer the crimson red it had been at the beginning, nor was it the golden kingdom that had settled down. Instead, it had reached a deep purple, the color of immortal qi. Purple qi was the most supreme of all. This was the result of Yonko's development reaching its pinnacle, the awakening of the people, and the explosive growth of the population. It had been almost a year since Gu Qinsha established the Common People's Wish Institute to encourage fertility and spread the Dragon Nurture Mantra. In the past year, he had not participated in the specific operations, but Liu Baiyue and the Fourth had followed his footsteps. Under the lead of the Celestial Tranquility Department, a birth frenzy once again arose in the world. Land began to be scarce everywhere, and land prices skyrocketed, leading to a climax of large-scale construction. Every household became wealthy, and with money on hand, they began to build houses and gardens. There were even some rich families who desperately bought land and hired experts to set up formations. Even some of the local tyrants in the countryside began to know about spirit-gathering formations and had people set them up. A large number of experts appeared among the people. It was already the 25th year of the Heavenly Talisman. It had been 11 years since Gu Qinsha made his debut. People at Tao Realm Transformation 15 Heaven Eye Hanging Space would turn their soul into a heaven eye and hang in the air. They would be able to see everything within 1,000 miles, and they would even be able to see the minerals and treasures underground. As for Gu Qinsha, his cultivation base was no longer something that low-level cultivators could match up against. With just a thought, he could silently observe the entire China continent, the ocean, the desert, East Wasteland, and many other areas. Many of the aristocratic families in the central continent were deeply engraved in his mind. Normally speaking, even if a deity were to release their divine will to spy on the entire central divine prefecture, many of the hidden old-timers would be displeased. However, Gu Qinsha's spying wasn't something that could be detected. He had become one with the sunlight, and there was no way to tell what was going on. He was the sun in the sky, and the sun in the sky was him. He used the quality of the heaven path technique to control the sun and moonshine together, which far exceeded the strength that Gu Tianzi could display. After half a year of secluded meditation, he came to find trouble with the legalists and also to observe the situation in the world. He wanted to see if there were any loopholes in the imperial court. How long? His consciousness spread out limitlessly. Many scenes of the China continent appeared in his mind, and he could see them clearly. Gu Qinsha's spiritual sense could now do 8 million things at once, even exceeding Zhuge Ye's. With just his own combat strength, even Zhuge Ye was not his match. The 99 states of the central continent were developing rapidly, but the aristocratic families were developing even faster. Gu Qinsha saw that the sage clans and the descendants of the gods, the legalists, the Wu, the Fan, the Hung, the Lei, the Wen, the Hong, and the Yun clans, were expanding even faster than the country as a whole. They were rapidly plundering the country's providence, but they didn't give it back to the common people. Sores, tumors, pustules. Such a feeling appeared in the depths of Gu Qinsha's heart and became stronger and stronger. The overbearing aristocratic families were all tumors on the country. They absorbed nutrients but didn't give it back to strengthen themselves. Instead, they controlled the country and affected the health of the imperial court. No matter how much the imperial court expanded, most of the country's luck was absorbed by these aristocratic families. If this continued, the country would collapse very quickly. It was just like how in the past dynasties, when land was acquired, the large families would desperately buy land, causing the small families to gradually be unable to survive. In the end, as long as there was a small spark, it would immediately explode and the world would be in revolution. And these aristocratic families had never been removed from power since ancient times. No matter how the dynasties rose or fell, they would always stand tall, and the ones who took the blame for them were the imperial court of the past. If I don't get rid of these aristocratic families, the world can't be truly peaceful. Gu Qinsha observed for a long time and sighed in his heart. Logically speaking, the Heavenly Talisman Emperor could completely destroy these aristocratic families and establish an unshakable foundation. However, he didn't do that. He only sealed the gods and expanded outwards, destroying the barbarians and demons, and then suppressing the heavenly Tao. In his opinion, perhaps the matters of the aristocratic families should be left to Gu Qinsha, Liu Baiwei, and the others. This was training and also nurturing. There was nothing that he couldn't do. Thankfully, Baiwei has already contacted the various governors and reached an agreement with them to support them and restrain the aristocratic families. However, this is just doing things among the common people. If we really want to destroy and divide the aristocratic families, we have to do it from the higher-ups. As long as we seal all the deity experts of those aristocratic families and take away their foundation, they will collapse. But where do we have the strength to do that? Gu Qinsha had already appeared in the Dharma province. It was still the Dharma province city. The Common People's Wish Academy of the Celestial Commerce Department was actually built here. This was all the result of their cooperation with Wen Hanlong. Although the legalists had absolute control over the Dharma province, the world was still under the imperial court's control. The devil calamity hadn't broken out yet, so the legalists couldn't go overboard. A huge railway was built outside the Dharma province city, connecting the surroundings. Iron carriages that resembled centipedes emitted flames as they sped forward at a speed of several thousand li per day, transporting goods from the Dharma province to the rest of the country, and then transporting the specialties of the various provinces here. Huge floating boats floated in the sky, transporting goods back and forth at an even faster speed. This was the most eye-catching thing about the Celestial Commerce Department. Since ancient times, the various aristocratic families and even the Celestial Path mysterious sects could craft such flying boats. However, there were very few of them, and they weren't practical. People from the Celestial Path mysterious sects could fly on their own, so it was a waste of materials to craft such ships that didn't have high defense and attack abilities. Moreover, although the flying speed of the ships was really fast compared to true cultivators, it was much slower. The speed of the ships couldn't compare to the speed of a Tao Realm 9 Transformation J-body cultivator flying at full speed. It could only carry many people. It was flashy but not practical. This was what many cultivators thought of the ships. Gu Qinsha didn't care. His goal was to create such a huge ship to cause a sensation among the commoners. When the commoners saw such strength, there was no reason for them to believe in him. Along with the Dharma province governor Wen Hanlong, Gu Qinsha wanted to slowly spread the Celestial Commerce Department's power into Dharma province. After observing for a while in Dharma province city, he silently headed towards the plains that the legalists occupied. He saw the familiar plains and the main gate of the legalists, the gate of order. This time, he didn't head over to pay them a visit. Instead, he turned into Do 19 and activated the talismans that Wen Hong, Tai Xuan Du, and Chan Wei Yang had crafted. Along with his own heaven path technique, he was actually exactly the same as Do 19, turning into Do 19's undying body. Then, he activated his body and snuck into the legalist's palace. It was the same for Do 19's style. He was too lazy to do any visiting etiquettes. If he wanted to head to Celestial Path Mysterious Sects, he would directly sneak in and then find the higher-ups to talk to them. If the higher-ups didn't notice him, he didn't mind stealing some things. The Celestial Path Mysterious Sects couldn't do anything to him. They didn't dare to fight him, and they didn't dare to kill him. This was the reason why Do 19's reputation was so bad. Gu Chensha used the same trick again. It would be best if he could find some of the legalist flaws and obtain their treasures to strengthen the life's wish sphere. Then, he would shift the blame to Do 19. Gu Chensha and Zhuge Ye also had a clear grasp of Do 19's whereabouts. After all, this person had left his natal brand on the Heavenly Demon Tree. Now that the Heavenly Demon Tree had evolved into the Tree of Wishes, it was even easier to grasp his every move. Do 19 was currently cultivating in seclusion somewhere, attempting to dispel the brand he had left behind and sever his relationship with the Celestial Commerce Department. This was something that would happen sooner or later. With the three Heavenly Venerables' resources, it was impossible for them to control Do 19. Now that the three Heavenly Venerables were doing something important, Gu Chensha seized the opportunity to shift the blame to Do 19. The last time he entered the legalists, Gu Chensha had secretly observed the layout of the legalists when he accepted the banquet hosted by the Six Elders. He discovered that there were layers of restrictive spells that prevented outsiders from entering. It would be extremely dangerous for him to barge in himself. But that was almost 10 months ago. Chapter 474. The Legalism Palace complex was enveloped by a formation. It was like a huge, invisible screen that covered thousands of kilometers of land. Ordinary people couldn't even get close to the dozens of kilometers around the palace complex. Only legalism disciples who wore talismans could enter and exit this barrier freely. Gu Chensha, on the other hand, did not care. He had just come into contact with the barrier, and he was already familiar with its secrets. He gently transformed and became a part of the barrier. Naturally, he was able to hide inside without anyone knowing. The legalist palaces had many floors, and there were countless barriers. The outer disciples couldn't enter the deeper layers. The rules were strict and meticulous. Legalism disciples were divided into many levels. The lowest level was the miscellaneous chores disciples. They were servants who served tea, did manual labor, planted crops, and reclaimed land. They had to bow and scrape. Those with slightly higher levels were secular disciples, traveling merchants, transporting goods, dealing with other trading companies, and so on. These two types of disciples were the largest bottom level. They lived in the periphery of the legalism palace complex. They lived in towns. The houses weren't palaces, but were all single-story houses. Then there were the inner disciples. Once one became an inner disciple of the legalism, their treatment improved. They could be given pills, cultivation techniques, and all sorts of conveniences. Also, the inner disciples basically didn't have to do any work. Their role was to cultivate every day and take tests. However, they were very strict. There would be a big test every month. If they couldn't pass, they would be kicked out and become secular disciples. Not only would they lose face, they would also have to work every day. They wouldn't have time to cultivate, and they would basically never be able to make a name for themselves. Above the inner disciples were the inner disciples, and their treatment was even better. After that, there would be another selection in the inner disciples for elite disciples. After that, there would be another selection in the elite disciples for enforcers. This was similar to the adjudicators under the three heavenly venerables. The enforcers monitored all the disciples and had an extremely high status. They were already the peak of the disciples. If one had enough experience, they would become a legalism elder. Gu Chunsha entered the legalism palace and hid his body. He walked around leisurely and observed the structure of the legalism palace. He found that there was a strict order and the hierarchy was clear. No one could take half a step forward. It was this order that made the legalism so powerful. Odd job disciples, secular disciples, inner disciples, elite disciples, and enforcers. There were 6 major levels, followed by the elders, great elders, patriarchs, supreme elders, and ancestors. Old ancestors were usually God realm experts. As for grand elders, they were at the Tao realm, 27 transformations, 2-world seamless, and 29 transformations comprehending chaos. They needed to cultivate and step into the God realm. I wonder what the school of legalism's omniscient law realm is like. It's bigger than our life's wish sphere, and it produces countless rare spiritual herbs, minerals, resources, and treasures. The real good stuff is in that world of Dharma. If I can infiltrate it, I'll be able to pry into the true secrets of legalism. Gu Chunsha strolled around for most of the day and saw the miscellaneous chores disciples at the lowest level of the school of legalism working hard to wash clothes, sweep the floor, serve tea, plant medicinal fields, raise livestock, and so on. They were busy and the work was extremely heavy. Actually, with the school of legalism's divine powers, these tasks could be done by puppets. However, the school of legalism did not seem to have any puppets that worked. The members of the school of legalism's upper echelon felt that the odd jobs should be left to the disciples. Firstly, they could comprehend the principles through the odd jobs. Secondly, if the large number of low-end disciples did not have any work to do, they would loaf around, and it would be extremely disadvantageous to the clan's stability. Only by keeping the disciples at the lowest level busy all day, not giving them time to think or take a breather, would the clan be at peace. Actually, many rulers had the same thoughts. They could not let the commoners have it too easy. They had to be constantly working so that there would be a hint of hope. However, they could not be allowed to starve to death either. Only then would the country be stable. However, Gu Chunsha did not think this way. He was no longer looking at the problem from the perspective of the emperor. Instead, he was looking at it from the perspective of the survival of all of humanity. He had to do his best to strengthen humanity, increase their intelligence and strength, so that they could fend off the upcoming calamity. The legalism's structure and philosophy of governance were indeed a kind of truth that had existed for several thousand years. They contained some kind of rule and had created the legalism's glory for several thousand years. However, by the looks of it now, these were a little outdated. Gu Chunsha went deeper and observed the disciples' cultivation. He also got a good look at the legalism's basic cultivation techniques and training methods. Fiendish aura? As he slowly observed, Gu Chunsha suddenly sensed a hint of fiendish aura. It was very pure and intense. Although the owner of the fiendish aura tried his best to hide it, how could he hide it from him? Why would there be fiends in the legalism? Gu Chunsha immediately transformed and lurked towards the spot where the fiendish aura appeared. Every level of the legalism palace had a unique restrictive spell. One could only enter by wearing the corresponding talisman amulet. The deeper one went, the stronger the restrictive spell. If a disciple trespassed and triggered the restrictive spell, only death awaited them. This had been the rule for thousands of years, resulting in no one daring to trespass the forbidden zone. Gu Chunsha ignored the restrictive spell. He casually transformed and seeped in. His body's transformation had already surpassed the river of myriad things and reached a whole new level. The legalism's massive palace complex basically had no secrets to him. Only the Dharma world was difficult to find. In just a short while, he found a garden deep in the palace complex. The spiritual energy in the garden was really strong, and there was also celestial energy mixed within. When mixed together, it formed a special celestial spiritual energy. The celestial spiritual energy was nurtured by a special formation and actually turned into many beautiful fairies. These fairies danced in the garden and looked really lively. And here, a banquet was being held. Apart from the 6 hall elders who appeared to accompany the guest, there were 12 other elders of the same level. Gu Qinsha knew that the legalism had a total of 18 halls, and each hall's elder was an absolute expert at the 20 changes. Even with how strong the legalism school was, there were very few people who could cultivate spiritual power. They weren't as simple as cabbages. The 18-hall elders were accompanying a guest. This guest was a really handsome young man. The fiendish aura was coming from his body. Dwarf demon race? Gu Qinsha could immediately tell that this handsome young man was an expert of the dwarf demon race. This man had actually reached the 26 changes of Dao realm, 10,000 techniques returned to 1. It seemed like he could break through to the 27 changes of seamless 2 worlds at any time. This image, it seems like... Gu Qinsha was shocked. It's actually the dwarf demon clan's younger generation, the dwarf death abandonment. I even pretended to be this person and killed the dark armor, great demon race's dark armor foolishness. There was also a 24 transformation 6-armed snake demon and 25 transformation blood demon. I wanted to stir up internal strife in the demon race, but I didn't succeed. This abandoned dwarf is still here. It seems like he has made some sort of agreement with the legalism school. Abandoned dwarf was a freak. When he was born, there were all sorts of phenomenons. His parents saw numerous black lotuses surging out from the ground and then blood rain falling from the sky. The moment he was born, he was completely different from the other dwarf demons. He was extremely strong and resonated with the demonic nature. His cultivation speed was really fast, and he could pretty much learn any technique just by listening to it once. His proficiency was also much better than other demons who cultivated for decades. Abandoned Dwarf's signature move was to turn into a black lotus that would suddenly appear and slash and destroy everything. From a certain perspective, Abandoned Dwarf was the demon race's Fa Wuxian. He was a natural saint. His father was the Dwarf Death Emperor, who had the prison-suppressing black steel, was a demon saint. Gu Qinsha had turned into this person because of Abandoned Dwarf's arrogance. He killed the experts of the demon race and pushed the blame onto him. However, this was effective. Otherwise, the demon race would have already exploded. The humans had already delayed it for a year. Fa Lufeng laughed heartily. Our cooperation this time is not bad. I didn't expect the pygmy devil race to have so many natural treasures. Our school of legalism can do business with you. It'll be a win-win situation for both sides. As he laughed, he pointed, and an immortal spirit woman flying through the garden was wrapped in magic power and brought to the banquet table on a jade plate. The immortal spirit woman was more than a foot tall and had rainbow-colored wings. When she flapped them, she looked ethereal and beautiful. But the immortal spirit woman was scared out of her wits. She begged, "Exalted immortal, exalted immortal, exalted immortal, please spare me. Don't eat me, don't eat me." Fa Lufeng shouted. Immortal spirits like you are creatures that our school of legalism has gathered immortal energy and spiritual energy for thousands of years in this garden. The meaning of your existence is to please us and entertain our guests. You dare to struggle and beg for mercy? But it doesn't matter. This is your fate. As he spoke, he opened his mouth and inhaled. The foot-tall, immortal spirit woman was sucked into his mouth. She screamed, then struggled in pain as she was eaten by Fa Lufeng. How extravagant. Extremely extravagant. Created by ancient dust sand, this was the celestial spirit virgin's feast recorded in ancient records. It was a type of extreme enjoyment, and it was created by gathering great formations for thousands of years, using all sorts of secret methods to condense the celestial spirit virgins and then consume them. Rumor had it that among the great clans of the profound immortal Dao sects, only those who could arrange the immortal spirit fairy's feast could be considered truly powerful. To Gu Qinsha, this was a bad habit. It was like ordinary nobles eating a monkey's brain, but there was nothing he could do about it. The profound immortal Dao sects and sage clans weren't perfect. There were many bad habits, and to the nations, these sage clans were like cancerous tumors. How enjoyable. Immortal spirit energy has been brewed by countless formations, gathering the 5 elements of heaven and earth and the purest essence of human Tao. After thousands of years, these immortal spirit fairies have been brewed. Abandoned, the dwarf looked at Fa Lu Feng, who also grabbed one of the fairies and placed her on his jade plate. He slowly opened his mouth and absorbed the fairy's energy. He watched as she begged, and then her body shrank until she was completely absorbed. The fairies first begged, then cursed, then pain and despair disappeared. Chapter 475. The legalists are really cruel. Gu Qinsha was furious, but he didn't make a move. At the very least, he couldn't alert the enemy. Seeing this, he no longer felt any pity for the legalists and the other aristocratic families. They had to be destroyed and removed from the country's fate. Perhaps the human Tao's fate would break through once these tumors were gone, ushering in a true golden age. Haha! After the dwarf had eaten a fairy maiden, his eyes flashed with cruelty. This time, my father intends to join hands with the school of legalism to create an era where humans and demons coexist. As for the specifics, we'll have to deliberate countless times before we can create an unprecedented era. If our plan succeeds, it'll be an unprecedented achievement. That's right. First Elder Lu Po of the Punishment Hall nodded. Since ancient times, humans and demons have always been at odds with one another. Every time spirituality and demonic nature erupts, there will be endless conflicts and rivers of blood. This time, our school of legalism will work with you dwarves to take charge of this matter. We'll definitely be successful, but there will be a lot of resistance. I'm afraid there will be quite a few demons who oppose this. It's the same for you humans. According to our plan, we'll have a large number of human women mate with a large number of demon males, giving birth to a human-demon fusion. We'll perfectly fuse spirituality and demonic nature together, and finally achieve spirituality and demonic unity. However, I feel that the humans will oppose this even more. If the legalists want to give so many human women to us, there'll probably be a strong backlash. The dwarf abandonment had a teasing look on his face. It's fine. The legalists can still do this, but there will be obstacles. We'll need to borrow the strength of the demons to kill some of them. How about it? Lu Feng didn't care at all. There are countless commoners in the world right now. It's fine to use some of them for experiments. For the great cause of spirituality and demonic fusion, someone has to be sacrificed. Someone has to die. That's good. I've done my research. Actually, the legalist's current threat is the calming immortal department and those who haven't achieved anything yet. The dwarf abandonment said, "We want to destroy the calming immortal department. It's about time. Then we'll wait for the good news." I heard that not long ago, young Master Si Chi went on a killing spree and killed many of the demon race's upper echelons, causing internal strife. I wonder if it has been resolved? It's a bit troublesome, but I didn't kill them. Instead, someone impersonated me and wanted to stir up internal strife in our demon race. How could we fall for it? The matter has been completely resolved. Although there are some races who are dissatisfied, it is of no use. Abandoned dwarf exuded an extremely thick killing intent. The aristocratic families still don't know about our spirit and demon fusion plan. Falyujin said, "In this plan, if we can't convince these families, I'm afraid we will be in a passive position. If they don't get any benefits, they will definitely object. It doesn't matter. It's nothing more than benefits. There are all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures in our demon domain. As long as we take out a portion, we can rope them in. After the fusion of spirit and demon, the aristocratic families, as pure-blooded humans, will naturally be aloof and rule over everything. This is indisputable. I don't believe that they won't be tempted by such great benefits." The dwarf death abandonment grabbed another celestial goddess and slowly absorbed it. Listening to this fairy's miserable cries, it was very pleasing to the eyes. Whether it was the taste or the spiritual pleasure, the celestial goddess feast was very enjoyable. "Leave this matter to us, the legalism clan," Falyujin said. Young noble abandonment. As long as you give us those heavenly materials and ancient ruins, we will naturally contact the aristocratic families and form an alliance. Of course, we, the Pygmy Demon Clan, need to rely on the Legalism Clan for many things. Abandoned Dwarf suddenly said, "Right, where's your Legalism Clan's F.A. Wuxian? I wonder how your cultivation is going now." I don't know where F.A. Wuxian is in seclusion, but his cultivation is still shallow, only at the 23rd transformation. There is still some distance between him and young noble abandonment, F.A. Liu Shui said. Sooner or later, F.A. Wuxian will catch up. He's the same as me, a natural-born saint. I look forward to meeting him. If we work together, we will be able to dominate everything. Abandoned Dwarf Abandonment had high hopes for F.A. Wuxian. I have one more request. Young noble abandonment, please speak. F.A. Lu Feng smiled. I want to meet the Dharma Saint and hope to receive his guidance. The Dharma Saint's might has shaken many worlds. Even if the Maha God breaks the seal, he may not be able to do anything to the Dharma Saint. If he can give me some guidance, my cultivation will definitely increase. Of course, I won't ask for guidance for free. I can leave all the contents of the scripture of hell suppression to the Legalism Clan. What do you think? Abandoned Dwarf Abandonment made a request. The Grand Elders of the 18 Halls of Legalism exchanged glances. They were all discussing how this matter would go. The scripture of hell suppression was very widespread, and it wasn't as if the school of legalism didn't have it. However, the complete version was extremely rare. It contained the miraculous effects of dispelling heart demons, heaven demons, human demons, earth demons, spirit demons, demons, and many other demons. Any cultivator would face the risk of cultivation deviation. However, if they obtained the complete version of the scripture of hell suppression, they would be able to transform into the way and never be invaded by demons. This matter is not something we can decide. After discussing for a while, F.A. Lu Feng said, I must go back and report to the higher-ups. Everything will be decided by the ancestors. Thank you. Abandoned Dwarf Abandonment quickly said, I'll wait here. F.A. Lu Feng nodded, stood up, and walked into the hall. When Gu Chensha saw this, he immediately knew that F.A. Lu Feng was going to enter all the Dharma realms. This was a great opportunity for him. He quietly followed behind F.A. Lu Feng and suddenly pounced. His whole body turned into a part of F.A. Lu Feng. F.A. Lu Feng had also cultivated Dharma power. Now his whole body was a Dharma body. When Gu Chensha pounced, his body became the same as his Dharma power, and F.A. Lu Feng couldn't sense it at all. After going deeper into the hall, F.A. Lu Feng arrived in front of an ancient bronze door. The bronze door was closed, and it was not an ordinary rectangular door. It was round and arched. From a distance, it looked like a ring. The ring of uniting all law. Gu Chensha immediately recognized it. This ring was the true treasure of the legalists. It was where the Dharma Saint's luck was kept. It had been refined by the Dharma Saint by fusing many connate spiritual treasures. After thousands of years of accumulation, it had become an existence that could completely rival the black gate of heaven and earth. Even the current life's wish sphere could not compare to this magical ring. This ring gave birth to all Dharma realms and could contain all laws. Rumble. F.A. Lu Feng executed the incantation and entered the magical ring. The moment he entered the magic ring, Gu Chensha felt as if endless waves were sweeping over him. It was as if they were trying to identify F.A. Lu Feng. From start to finish, there were billions of tremors and searches. No xenogenic could possess F.A. Liu Feng's body. Unfortunately, Gu Chensha had completely become a part of F.A. Lu Feng. This was the heavenly Tao magic. Even the Dharma Saint hadn't cultivated to this level. The true heavenly Tao magic was something that the Dharma Saint couldn't comprehend. Of course, this was also because Gu Chensha's heavenly Tao magic was getting more and more exquisite. Before he had obtained all of Chang Yuzhou's memories, Gu Chensha didn't understand the sage Tao. But now, he was like a reincarnation of Chang Yuzhou, and all of the various cultivation methods were vivid in his mind. He also knew the methods of the sage. Therefore, this time, he wasn't discovered by any Dharma realm. Just like that, a vast world appeared in front of them. It was a vast world with a sun, moon, and stars in the sky. Countless continents floated in this world, and countless extinct spiritual herbs grew on these continents. There were also many primordial divine beasts roaming this vast world. This was another untainted land. However, Gu Qinsha didn't feel the aura of the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise. The legalists didn't have the four symbols sacred beasts either. The other primordial divine beasts couldn't compare to the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, the black tortoise, and the North Star divine beasts. Among the primordial divine beasts, these 5 divine beasts were definitely ranked first. They represented the Khanate 5 elements. The black sect of heaven and earth had an old azure dragon, which firmly occupied the first position of the celestial sects. Even after experiencing the division of the universe, it could still suppress many celestial sects. Disciple Fa Lufeng greets the ancestor. After entering all the Dharma realms, Fa Lufeng immediately knelt in front of the stars in the sky. Fa Lufeng, did the dwarf abandon death have any conditions that you can't decide? A star in the sky shone brightly and spoke in the voice of all living beings. Ancestor, the dwarf abandoned death, wants to see the Dharma saint and learn from him. In exchange, he will give us the complete scripture of Maha-suppression. Fa Lufeng knelt down and said, "What?" At this time, another star flickered. It was another immortal realm cultivator. The dwarf abandoned death ambition array wants to learn from the Dharma saint. But only the dwarf dead emperor of the dwarf demon clan has the complete scripture of Maha-suppression. He must have passed it on to his son. Ancestors, I'm just passing on the demon's words. I hope that you can communicate with the Dharma saint and make the decision. Fa Lufeng didn't dare to say anything else. The dwarf demon clan's spirit and demon fusion plan is indeed a bold plan. It is also one of the Dharma saint's experiments. If it succeeds, it will probably be able to change the fate of the past. Of course, humans will experience some pain. The third star flickered as another immortal realm cultivator spoke. The exalted Dharma saint is currently manipulating the workings of the heavens to enter the deepest depths of space-time. He's secretly monitoring the future, and we won't be able to communicate with him. Send that kid back first. Once we've communicated with the Dharma saint, we'll have him come. Yes, sir, Fa Lufeng said. Furthermore, those brats from the Celestial Communist Division have already infiltrated our Dharma prefecture. Don't you have any plans to stop them? Do you really need us old fogies to do anything? The fourth star emanated killing intent and began to tremble violently. Also, we can sense that the precious sphere in the Celestial Tranquility Division has all 4 holy beasts gathered. What's going on? Did you find out anything? Chapter 476. Patriarch, with the Lord of 7 Stars, Zhugeya, in charge of the Celestial Pacification Agency, they've taken every conceivable possibility into account. There's no way for us to pry into their secrets. Even the 3 divine apes were tricked by them and suffered heavy losses. The Celestial Pacification Agency even roped in one Hong, the profound Cosmos Gate, and the Tai Profound Sect. They're so powerful that it's almost impossible to shake them. Those 3 monkeys are trash. Ever since the demon ape of chaos was sealed, the ape clan has declined. The 5th star, the 5th deity, sent out ripples. This caused Gu Qinsha to feel shocked. Just how many deity experts does the school of legalism have? And now if there's a 5th, it seems there's definitely more than 5. With so many deity experts, it's no wonder they're the number 1 aristocratic family. They're much more powerful than the ape clan. More importantly, they have the Dharma saint overseeing them. We can now confirm that the Dharma saint is still alive. Now that they had confirmed that the Dharma saint was still alive, it was time for another round of action. The Celestial Pacification Agency is like a bunch of ants. Even the Lord of 7 Stars is nothing more than a wimpy brat. We can crush them to death at any time. It's just that the Lord Dharma Saint sent a decree telling us not to act rashly, which is why we haven't acted yet. Thankfully, those wimpy brats from the Celestial Pacification Agency don't dare to offend the school of legalism. Last time, they obediently came to worship us and even used the dragon-raising cultivation technique and dragon-making cultivation technique to tempt us. They're nothing more than petty tricks. They don't know that the Lord Dharma Saint's plan is to combine spirit and demon to create an unprecedented, mighty order. Patriarchs, F.A. Lu Feng said, kowtowing once more. Disciple will take his leave. You may leave. While keeping an eye on the Celestial Pacification Agency, keep an eye on that Wu Dankong. The heaven offering talisman has already appeared on that woman. It has chosen her. This is the most important thing in the world. The talisman can't be seized. We can only borrow its power. Have you sent people to make contact with that woman? The Wu clan also has a few old fellows. If we attack that Wu Dankong, we'll be bullying a junior and breaking the agreement between the legalists and the Wu clan. Of course, no matter how you juniors cause a ruckus, those old fellows from the Wu clan won't be able to say anything. A deity class expert spoke again. Ancestor, in fact, the best person to handle this matter is Wuxian. However, Wuxian doesn't listen to the orders of the clan and is always unreasonable. Because of his natural talent as a saint, the clan can't punish him. Regarding this child, our clan's elder council is really helpless. When F.A. Lu Feng finally left, he seemed to be complaining about F.A. Wuxian. Born saints naturally have special privileges. This is undeniable. A deity realm old ancestor spoke up. Don't worry about F.A. Wuxian's matters. Let him develop on his own. Sir Dharma Saint will personally nurture him. When F.A. Lu Feng heard this, he did not dare to say anything else. He slowly retreated. As for Gu Qinsha, he did not leave. Instead, he stayed in this all-Dharma realm. He felt that there was a chance here, and he might be able to find the secret of the Dharma Saint. However, this place was extremely dangerous. Now that 6 deities had appeared, if he were to be discovered, he would basically be dead. He could no longer sense the power of the Life's Wish sphere. This was the all-Dharma realm, a treasure even more powerful than the Life's Wish sphere. There were also many deities overseeing it. His current methods could only be concealed. It was like a small insect that had barged into the nest of a group of giant dragons. Before the giant dragons discovered the small insect, it was very safe. However, once the insect was discovered, he would be crushed to pieces with a single breath. However, Gu Qinsha had to stay here. He had discovered the legalists' evil plan, the spirit demon plan. They actually wanted humans and demons to fuse together. They wanted to first send a batch of human women to the demons and give birth to a human demon. This was something he absolutely could not tolerate. From his point of view, the bloodline of humans was the noblest. It was the spirit of all living things. On the other hand, the bloodline of the demons was lowly, low-level, and chaotic. Humans and demons could not fuse at all. There was only one outcome for humans and demons, and that was to destroy all demons. Even humans and barbarians could not fuse, let alone humans and demons. Those demons were bloodthirsty and filthy. If the legalists wanted to send human women over, what kind of torture would those women receive? A life worse than death. Just based on this point, the legalists should die. The Dharma Saint should die. Moreover, they deserve to die 10,000 times over. Gu Qinsha had never wanted to exterminate a clan so much. He hated a clan so much. He knew that existences at the level of the Dharma Saint no longer viewed things from the perspective of ordinary people. Perhaps in the eyes of the Dharma Saint, the fusion of humans and demons was the only way to resolve the countless demon disasters. However, Gu Qinsha would not allow such a thing to happen, even if he died. Humans were humans because of their bloodline and spirituality. If they were to be mixed with demon bloodline and demonic nature, would they still be humans? Moreover, the legalists were not prepared to allow their disciples to fuse with demons. This meant that the legalists knew the dangers of fusing with demons. They were unwilling to allow their disciples to be experimented on. For the sake of their own plans, these higher-ups actually don't care about the lives of ordinary people at all. They treat human lives like child's play. This can be seen from the legalist plans. Project Spirit Demon forcefully fused demons and humans, tarnishing the noble bloodline of humans. The killing intent in Gu Chencha's heart intensified. In history, there have been barbarians who had attacked the divine Central Plains. In order to enslave the common people, they had forced them to shave their heads and wear barbarian clothes. However, the common people could not bear the humiliation and had rebelled, finally driving the barbarians out. And now, the legalists were forcing human women to fuse with demons. This humiliation was millions of times more humiliating than shaving their heads and changing their clothes. This was no longer humiliation, but extermination. After Fa Lufeng left, Gu Chensha remained in the Dharma realm. He transformed into a wisp of cloud and took aim at a golden-winged great pung, transforming and attaching himself to it. In all the Dharma realms, many strong ancient beasts and god beasts provided targets for Gu Chensha to secretly possess. He was also secretly observing all the Dharma realms to understand their structure and essence energy. Moreover, the golden-winged rock that he possessed also knew how to cultivate. It was already at the 9 transformations of the Tao realm, the glass jade body realm. Its entire body was 100 feet long, like a giant. The feathers on its body were like gold and jade, and with a slight shake of its feathers, the sound of countless blades clashing could be heard. After he possessed the golden-winged great pung, he used it as a medium to absorb a bit of the essence energy in the Dharma realm. From the perspective of outsiders, it seemed like the golden-winged great pung was cultivating and absorbing. Even the god-level experts here couldn't sense it. Gu Chensha suddenly realized that he was like a heart demon that hid in the hearts of all living beings. Unknowingly, even the gods couldn't do anything about it. But he was an existence even higher than the heart demon. To a certain extent, the heaven path technique was close to the will of the heavens. Gu Chensha controlled the golden-winged great pung to slowly absorb all the essence energy in the Dharma realm. He absorbed it into his own power to analyze and deduce. From there, he understood the secrets of the Dharma saint. After a long while, Gu Chensha was filled with emotions. The Dharma saint is really amazing. The essence energy in the Dharma realm has been refined for thousands of years and contains a lot of information. It is really helpful for me to familiarize myself with the quality of the heaven path technique. So, power can be refined in such a way. Everything in the Dharma realm contained the essence created by the Dharma saint. Normal experts wouldn't be able to understand, but Gu Chensha was able to observe and absorb it. He obtained a lot of information. He greedily absorbed the knowledge and profoundness, understanding the structure of the Dharma realm. He discovered that this world had layers of space, like a beehive. It was much more complicated than the life's wish sphere. Of course, what he was looking at now was just a drop in the ocean of the Dharma saint's profoundness. He was waiting for an opportunity. The opportunity would come. Rumble. As he absorbed the vital energy, 13 stars in the sky suddenly began to revolve. Each star gave off a powerful mental wave. Everyone, we're about to succeed in refining the core of all the Dharma realms. However, there is still one last hurdle. We cannot let our guard down or slack off. That's right. There is still a portion of the Dharma saint's power that hasn't been released. If it is completely released, breaking away from the heaven path's restraints, then the might of the Dharma saint's descent will be comparable to any one of the 3 celestial lords. If it wasn't for the last change in the heaven path, the Dharma saint wouldn't have taken the opportunity to break away from some restraints and successfully condense a divine body. Just what kind of existence is this Gu Taxian? He can actually shake the eternal and unchanging laws of the heaven and earth. No matter how powerful in existence he has disappeared for so long. It is clear that something big has happened. The Dharma saint must be aware of this. The stars in the sky rippled and emitted a powerful divine will. Gu Qinsha could sense it very clearly. 13. There are a total of 13 deity-level experts. When Gu Qinsha saw the 13 revolving stars, he knew that they were formed by 13 deity-level experts. These deity-level experts were above the Dharma realm's space and sky. It was unknown what kind of profound realm they were comprehending. The 13 stars aligned, each emitting a beam of light, forming a huge array formation. The array formation revolved violently, as if some kind of passageway had been opened. Gu Qinsha observed the array formation and saw countless heavenly flowers falling down, filling the entire Dharma realm. Many deity beasts were greedily absorbing these heavenly flowers. The golden-winged rock that Gu Qinsha had possessed was also absorbing them. These beasts have gotten lucky. The stars in the sky began to fluctuate. Our spell formation will once again evolve all Dharma realms. During the process of the world's evolution, all living beings within it will be able to obtain great benefits. Those who are extremely lucky might even be blessed by the world's energy. Unfortunately, our Dharma realm doesn't have the azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise. If we had all four of the divine symbols, it would be far more profound. I never would have guessed that the juniors of the Celestial Commerce Department would have all four of them. Chapter 477. Even the school of legalism coveted the life's wish sphere, especially the four sacred beasts within it. Each of them had their own unique uses, and any one of them would bring great benefits to the world they created, let alone all four of them. These 13 divine-level experts are the entirety of the school of legalism. They are really powerful. Gu Qinsha slowly observed and understood more of the school of legalism's profoundness. There were so many deity-level experts living in these magical realms. They did not create their own worlds, but instead infused their world energy into the magical realms, perfecting their power. The power gathered like this could last for thousands of years, or even tens of thousands of years. It was an extremely terrifying thing. Usually, any deity-level expert would have to build their own Eden Minor world once they succeeded in their cultivation. They would have to spend a long time pondering, perfecting, protecting themselves, and using it as a stable base. It was similar to how ordinary cultivators would set up a formation in one place. Ordinary cultivators would be able to defend against cultivators who were much stronger than them after a long period of accumulation. Back then, Gu Qinsha had built a palace on a mountain near Wuzhou City, where he had absorbed the power of the stars. It had only taken him a few dozen days to unleash constellation divine lightning and sun-moon annihilation, which had forced Jing Fanqing to retreat. If a cultivator were to lay down an array formation for decades, its power would be unimaginable. It was the same for gods. The longer they created their own world, the richer the accumulation and the greater the power. Now that legalism's divine-level experts had given up on creating their own divine countries and perfected all the law realms together, it would be even more terrifying. If they gathered all their powers to refine a world, how powerful would the power released by that world be in the future? The calming immortal department's sphere of common people's wishes had a flaw, and that was that it had only been used for a short period of time, and the accumulation was too shallow. It was far inferior to the accumulation of many aristocratic families. Of course, if the Celestial Calmness Department gathered a few more connate spiritual treasures, such as subduing the peerless heavenly tome and obtaining the world-burying coffin left behind by the ancient Lord of Seven Star, Jiang Gongwang, then it would be comparable to the accumulated wealth of those noble clans. This was especially true for the world-burying coffin, which contained countless treasures that Jiang Gongwang had collected. If he could obtain all of them, he would become rich overnight. Or Gu Qinsha could destroy an aristocratic family and seize the fruits of their labor. Judging from the ripples of the wills of the 13 divine-level experts from the school of legalism, while the Dharma saint was not dead, he did not seem to be at his peak either. Right now, these 13 divine level experts from a school of legalism were upgrading all the magical realms, making them even more mystical. They were used to guide the Dharma Saint back. Our cooperation with the Pygmy demons is going pretty well. The Pygmy Death Emperor has given us 36 ancient ruins, which can be used to nourish all of our Dharma realms. In order to save God Maha, the Pygmy demons are going all out. That's only natural. God Maha is extremely powerful and can suppress countless demon realms. This time, he was actually sealed by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor. This is something that has never happened before. If the seal continues, I'm afraid that the countless demon realms will give birth to new kings to replace God Maha and gather faith. The demon realms are really too chaotic. But this time, Lord Dharma Saint's Spirit Demon Project will make some humans suffer. But we can also cleanse countless demons. We'll wipe out many demon realms and absorb their souls, flesh, and blood into our Dharma realms. At that time, our Dharma realms will truly be indestructible. At the same time, we might be able to break through the restraints of the heavenly Tao and obtain true immortality. Our lifespans are too short. Even if we cultivate to the deity realm and do everything we can, we won't be able to live for more than 10,000 years. What can we do? Even if we obtain godhood, we won't be able to live for more than 100,000 years. Compared to the stars of the universe, our lifespan is frighteningly short. We're definitely not willing to accept this. The Warlock Saint will not accept this either. We must create a miracle that has never happened since ancient times. Even if the spirit devils are wiped out, we won't hesitate. That's right. With our cultivation, we can create things out of nothing. Even if the humans are wiped out, it doesn't matter. In this world, lifespan should be fixed. If there's life, there'll be death. If we can complete the Spirit Demon Project and greatly reduce the number of living beings in this world, then we'll share the excess lifespans. All right, let's do our best to upgrade the Dharma realms. The 13 deity realm experts all released their world energy. There was a treasury in the Dharma realms. There were many ancient ruins in the treasury. Under the power of the 13 deities, they were all destroyed and turned into nourishment for the Dharma realms. Rumble. The primal chaos seemed to have been opened. Boundless energy descended from it. Then, holy light appeared in the Dharma realms. This holy light was the energy left behind by the Dharma Saint. Wherever the holy light touched, the chaotic elemental energy would settle down. Then, the essence would fuse with the space, making it even more stable. When Gu Chensha saw all this, he immediately activated it secretly. He absorbed the power of the advancement of this world to increase his magic power. He could sense that during the process of all the changes in the law realm, the Warlock Saint had leaked out some of his origin. The secrets contained in these origins would allow him to gain a deeper understanding of the Warlock Saints. The advancement of the Dharma realms was no small matter. It could be said that it had been accumulating for thousands of years. In addition, the spirit-demon agreement between the legalists and the pygmy demons allowed them to obtain many ancient ruins in the demon realm from the devil saint of the pygmy demons. Everything was mixed together to promote the advancement of the Dharma realms. Is this the advancement of the Dharma realms? I've never seen such an experience. Even Chang Yuzhou's cosmic lightning pool couldn't reach this level. The legalist Dharma realms are one step ahead. Gu Chensha took this opportunity to pry into the secret. Rumble. All of a sudden, the space inside started to collapse. It was as if the universe was collapsing and was about to condense into a small dot. When the collapse reached its limit, a spot of light was born. Within the light, a figure appeared. This figure was only the size of a speck of dust. He wore a tall hat and ancient clothes. He had the demeanor of an ancient sage. It was as if he had grasped all the truths of the world. Dharma Saint. Gu Chensha didn't need to look to know that it was the Dharma Saint. This was the condensation of his power. Right now, Gu Chensha didn't know what kind of state the Dharma Saint was in. However, this speck of dust was expanding. In the blink of an eye, it was already the size of a soybean. The space in the Dharma realm stabilized. The soybean-sized Dharma saint's body emitted endless light, filling up every corner of the Dharma realms. Guchen Sha once again obtained more of the Dharma saint's secrets. Lord Dharma, saint is going to completely break free from his shackles. He's going to sever his fetters. When the 13 God-rank experts saw this scene, they were instantly excited. At this moment, something strange happened. Rumble. The world crystal wall of all the Dharma realms was torn apart by a powerful force. Then a huge hand reached in. This huge hand was pitch black and carried an unparalleled destructive aura. It grabbed at the warlock saint, who was growing rapidly. Who? Who dares to attack the Dharma realms? Gu Chansha discovered that this power was unprecedented. A power that could directly tear apart the Dharma realm's crystal walls was probably something only a heavenly venerate could possess. This huge hand seemed to want to grab the newly born Dharma saint. Clearly, this soybean-sized Dharma saint was extremely valuable. However, the Dharma saint was unfazed in the face of this grab. Instead, a smile appeared on his face. He actually said, "The great spirit god, sorcerer ancestor, don't waste your time. If I can't divine your alliance, won't I die in your hands?" An even more resplendent and brilliant holy light appeared in the Dharma saint's hand. Then, this light transformed into a brush. This scarlet brush was like the red brush that emperors used every year to sentence criminals to death. As long as this brush ticked a name, that person would be dead for sure. This is the law that the legalist created, the brush that judges all sins. This is a connate numinous treasure that was born from the primordial tree. The power of this brush is only below that of the immortal slaying god, slaying flying knife. Guchen Sha was overjoyed. An outsider coming to attack the Dharma realms was a great opportunity for him. Otherwise, if the Dharma saint's power continued to grow and eventually filled up the entire legalists, he might not be able to hide it. Now that the Dharma realms were in chaos, Guchen Sha could seize this opportunity to obtain many things. The wave that the Dharma saint released earlier was very clear. The ones who came to attack him were two great existences. One was the great spirit god, and the other was some sorcerer ancestor. It's actually the great spirit god. Guchen Sha felt like he had traveled far and wide in search of something, only to find it by chance. Gu Tanjian has an extremely powerful existence behind him. The great spirit god is definitely supporting him. However, other than the great spirit god, there's an even more terrifying powerhouse. It seems like it's this so-called sorcerer ancestor. Guchen Sha tried his best to compress his dharmic powers into a ball. At this moment, the Dharma saint made his move. The Dharma saint held the red brush in his hand and drew a line in the air. A scarlet light with the aura of judgment appeared, attempting to cut off the pitch-black hand. At this moment, another giant hand appeared. This hand was pure white, crystalline, and flawless. When combined with the pitch-black hand, it was actually a combination of yin and yang. The two palms came together, sandwiching the scarlet light. Then, the black and white light twisted and twisted, completely disappearing. Then, the black and white hand opened up and once again tried to capture the Dharma saint. Rumble. The Dharma saint's body expanded once again, turning into the size of a normal person. The red brush in his hand wrote out pieces of text. The text was like tadpoles, wriggling and wriggling, forming a huge net that wrapped around the black and white hand. Immediately, the entire Dharma realm was in chaos. Countless space-time turbulence surged and scattered. All the divine beasts and spiritual beasts encountered a calamity. Bang! Chapter 478. All the Dharma realms were in chaos. Shattered space-time turbulence was everywhere, turning anything it touched into powder. However, Guchen Sha was very happy. At this moment, his opportunity had arrived. His body turned into magic power. In a flash, he avoided many of the cracks in the turbulent flow of space-time. He found that many of the treasures stored in the Dharma realms were now floating in the turbulent flow. Some were torn to shreds, and some were glowing to resist the turbulent flow of space-time. The magic treasures that could resist the space-time turbulence were very powerful. They were all primordial treasures. The 13 god-level experts were all in the sky. Trying to stabilize the situation was easier said than done. Many legalism experts also appeared. They were all at the level of Grand Elder. They helped the god-level experts stabilize the situation. So many primordial treasures. The legalism's 7 or 8,000 years of accumulation is shocking. Guqinsha saw many magic treasures. There was a huge seal that released thousands of ripples. With a slight tremble, it suppressed the space-time turbulence. This was clearly the three-realm seal in the records. It was created by many immortals gathered by the ancient Son of Heaven. Then, there was a huge golden staff. It pierced through space-time and emitted a surging majesty. There were ancient patterns carved on it. With a sweep, the universe was cleared. This was the Wanxiang shattering staff that was used by the ancient god according to the ancient records. There was also a long banner that was also densely covered with scriptures. Countless bald monks were like ants, releasing Buddhist chants on it, suppressing all directions. This was the long-lost treasure of the ancient Buddha, the Amitabha Sutra banner. Another pagoda appeared. It had 13 floors. Each floor was suppressed by a magic treasure. There seemed to be a powerful puppet living in each floor, chanting mantras. This was another supreme Buddhist treasure, the little Moni Buddhist pagoda. Then, a palace flew up as well. This palace was built in a strange way and had a solemn atmosphere. There were also countless sesame-sized divine generals and divine beasts surrounding the palace. In the depths of the palace, there seemed to be a golden giant presiding. It was an ancient Buddhist treasure, the little thunderclap ancient temple. Did the school of legalism rob an ancient Buddhist sect or something? Why do they have so many powerful magic treasures? Guqinsha was shocked. What's that? Guqinsha then saw a tree appear from space in the all-Dharma realm. The tree covered a radius of hundreds of miles, and its roots reached deep into the void. Heavenly demon tree? No, this is essentially a heavenly demon tree, but it has been modified by the Dharma saint into a different form. The legalists must have obtained the remains of the heavenly demon tree and then stimulated the vitality within it. This is the same as how we refined the heavenly demon tree into a tree of wishes. If I obtain this tree, I can bring it back and fuse it into the tree of wishes, saving hundreds of years of accumulation. Guqinsha looked at the primordial treasures that had appeared in the school of legalism. Every single one of them had world-shaking might, and he wanted to obtain them all. However, he could not act blindly without thinking. The space-time turbulence here was very strong. If he didn't have the talismans made by Tai Xiandu, Wen Hong, and Chang Weiyang, three great experts, refined by him with the heavenly law method to silently protect himself, he might have been injured. After all, his current strength was not enough to resist the power that could ignore the tearing of space. He was still waiting for an opportunity, waiting for a more chaotic moment. The great spirit god and the voodoo ancestor had joined forces to kill the Dharma saint and obtain his Dharma body. This might be the moment when the Dharma saint was at his weakest. If he could capture him, he could probably be refined into a supreme treasure. Rumble. The invading black and white hand unleashed its might once again, unleashing its strongest attack. At this moment, almost all the Dharma realms were destroyed once again. Even the light of the primordial treasures that had appeared rapidly dimmed. At this instant, he felt the power of the life's wish sphere. All the Dharma realms have holes in them. The great spirit god and the voodoo ancestor have come prepared. They are truly amazing. This time, Guqinsha had truly witnessed the power of the great spirit god. He was both worried and delighted. What is that? Amidst the chaos, all the god-rank experts and supreme elders of the school of legalism could not even take care of themselves. Suddenly, Guqinsha saw what seemed to be an elixir amidst the turbulence. This elixir was completely transparent, and there seemed to be an illusory image of a tree within it. The aura of that tree was far beyond that of the heavenly demon tree and the tree of wishes. This was the Hongmeng tree. Hongming Holy Elixir. The ancient human 7 great sages joined forces and were seriously injured. They plucked a Hongming fruit from the Hongming tree and refined it into some elixirs. This is the Hongming Holy Elixir. Gu Qinsha immediately recalled this story. It seemed like there was a Hongming fruit in the palace's treasury. The heavenly talisman emperor had easily plucked it from the Hongming tree. However, as the heavenly talisman emperor had gone into seclusion, the palace's treasury had been closed, and no one had been able to open it. This elixir is actually in all the Dharma realms. Although it is not as good as the real Hongming fruit, it still contains a portion of the elixir's power. It will be very beneficial to me. Gu Qinsha activated his transformation, and in a flash, he had already entered the Hongming Holy Elixir amidst the violent turbulence. The Hongming Holy Elixir was extremely difficult to digest. However, when Gu Qinsha's heavenly Tao art entered it, the elixir immediately disintegrated and melted without a sound. On the other hand, Gu Qinsha felt that his magic power had doubled, especially his spirit and willpower, which had reached the stage of multitasking. He was even more confident in controlling the heavenly Tao art and resisting the heavenly Tao summons. In the midst of the chaos, he silently absorbed the Hongming Holy Elixir. No one noticed that the Dharma realm was already in chaos. After coming to the school of legalism and obtaining the Hongming Holy Elixir, I've benefited quite a bit from swallowing it. However, I'm still a long way off from overthrowing the school of legalism and the demon race. I have to obtain the Dharma Saint's secret. If I can find the core of the Dharma realm while it's in chaos, I can steal the secret. Gu Qinsha's heavenly Tao art transformed into vital qi that had the same nature as the Dharma realm. It floated everywhere. After secretly swallowing the Hongming Holy Elixir, he circulated it more exquisitely. As he floated, he could better observe the nature of the Dharma realm. Originally, his dharmic powers were insufficient to observe all the Dharma realms. However, after swallowing the Hongming Holy Elixir, his spirit and willpower had improved once again, and his dharmic powers had become more vigorous. He could circulate them as he wished, and it was a feeling that he might not be able to achieve even if he cultivated for 100 years. This Hongming Holy Elixir is indeed very powerful. If I had given it to Fa Wuxian earlier, his cultivation would probably not be lower than abandoned dwarfs. It would have been a little troublesome for me to kill abandoned dwarfs, but now that I've consumed this elixir, I'm more confident of killing him. However, I need to find a weapon. The all-encompassing destruction rod is not a bad choice. It can destroy everything with one strike. It's rumored that it was the weapon of an ancient Herculean god. It's purely destructive power and nothing fancy. However, I should first obtain that tree. Gu Qinsha's dharmic powers floated towards the huge tree that covered a radius of a few hundred miles. Then, he seeped into it and began to refine the tree. He was very familiar with the process. He had the experience of condensing the heavenly demon tree, so he wasn't someone who didn't know anything about it. Even the Dharma Saint didn't know how to condense the heavenly demon tree. Gu Qinsha used his heavenly Tao art cultivation to stimulate the tree's vitality. As he wandered around the interior of the tree, he discovered layers of restrictive spells that had been left behind by a god-grade expert. However, he could already communicate with the Life's Wish sphere. With a slight movement, he borrowed the sphere's power and used the heavenly Tao art as a cover to destroy the restrictive spells one by one. Crackle. A lot of information from the tree was transmitted into his mind. It turned out that the great sages of the ancient humans had joined forces to wage war against the demons. The Dharma Saint had joined forces with other sages to defeat the sages of the demon race. They had broken some of the refined heavenly demon trees and seized the remains. The Dharma Saint had used his own method to refine a Dharma tree. However, before he could complete it, the Dharma Saint had been summoned by the Tao integration realm and disappeared. This meant that the Dharma tree before him was actually a semi-finished product. For a semi-finished product, Gu Qinsha was very easy to deal with. If it wasn't a finished product, the restrictive spells within it would be very thin and easy to break. He broke the tree silently. Then, he suddenly activated his own dermic art and began to transform. The huge tree began to shrink at an unbelievable speed. In the blink of an eye, it had shrunk to the size of a palm. Then, space collapsed slightly and the sprout was teleported away. This could be said to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There wouldn't be another opportunity like this if he missed it. In the sphere of common people's wish, space opened up. The palm-sized sprout emitted a strong vitality and appeared inside the sphere. Zhuge's expression was shocked. I didn't expect Prince to be so lucky. You actually encountered the great spirit god and the sorcerer ancestor when you infiltrated the school of legalism, attempting to obtain the Dharma Saint when he was at his weakest. Could this be the luck of our celestial tranquility department? Shouldn't our celestial tranquility department be wiped out? With a tap of his finger, the little sprout disintegrated and fused with the Tree of Wishes. The Tree of Wishes immediately began to expand, once again becoming as tall as a few people. Its branches and leaves spread out like an old banyan tree spreading out, emitting an extremely gentle aura. After obtaining the school of legalism's great tree, the Tree of Wishes has once again saved several hundred years of evolution. This way, I'll be much more relaxed. After the Tree of Wishes grew into a great tree, countless rays of light spread out, causing the vital chi in the sphere to become even more compact. The sphere's squirming became even more vigorous. At this moment, if one were to look at it from a void, the sphere of common people's wish had already completely fused with the void, concealing its form and making it invisible. Next target, that all-encompassing obliteration cudgel. This cudgel's destructive power is extremely great. It's a naked Tao of great destruction left behind by the ancient god of great strength. It just so happens that I don't have a suitable weapon after cultivating it. Gu Chensha sent away the Dharma tree and felt the tremendous power surging toward him. He swept out once again, wrapping around the all-encompassing obliteration cudgel. Borrowing the power of the sphere of common people's wish, he charged directly into the cudgel. After that, he absorbed all the accumulated power in the Dharma realm without holding back and injected it into the sphere of common people's wish. This was tantamount to stealing. All the Dharma realms were currently in a state of turmoil. The power in the entire world was in a frenzy, clashing against each other and not stabilizing. Gu Chensha just happened to steal this power, injecting it into his own sphere of common people's wish. This was equivalent to Gu Chensha stealing the school of legalism's 7,000 or 8,000 years of savings year after year. Chapter 479. Gu Chensha was like a mouse in a granary, excited and nervous. He had not expected to encounter such an opportunity. This is the Dharma Saint breaking free from the heavenly Tao. There will definitely be a tribulation. Coincidentally, I managed to grab hold of this tribulation point. It can be seen that the Tranquil Fairy Department is indeed lucky. Gu Chensha saw the chaotic situation in the Dharma realm and vaguely understood something. The Dharma Saint was doing something that defied the heavens. It would be strange if there was no tribulation. Even a sage would find it difficult to grasp the tribulation. Not to mention a sage, even someone as powerful as the #1 fiend of the divine continent, Xing Qiongshi, would die in that tribulation. At this time, a huge tribulation descended on all the Dharma realms. Gu Chensha seized the opportunity to reap as many benefits as possible. First, he had devoured the Hongmeng holy pill, then refined the Dharma tree, and now he had obtained the manifestation destruction staff. He had made a huge profit, but he was still not satisfied. These ancient Buddha treasures are also good stuff. Each one is equivalent to the Buzhou Palace. I can subdue and absorb them. Gu Chensha had his eyes on the ancient Thunderclap Temple and the minor Moni Buddhist pagoda. He first entered the ancient Thunderclap Temple with a sway of his body. With a slight transformation, he familiarized himself with the characteristics of the treasure. Then, he simulated the Buddha nature. The heavenly Tao could simulate everything. He realized that after devouring the Hong Meng holy pill, his control of his dharmic powers had improved. He could seize and refine treasures even faster. He transformed into the heavenly Tao and wrapped himself around the treasure, immediately becoming a part of it. Gradually, he seeped into it and activated the treasure's characteristics to control the key points. The heavenly Tao is really mysterious. No wonder the Dharma saint pursued this all his life. Gu Chansha transformed into the Buddha nature and grasped the key points of the ancient thunderclap temple. He suddenly borrowed the power of a life's wish sphere and infused it. The ancient thunderclap temple was also under his control, and he directly sent it into the life's wish sphere. All right, he did the same thing and put away the little Moni Buddhist pagoda. Then, he aimed at the three-realm seal. Within the life's wish sphere, Zhuviya's face was also filled with joy. In the depths of the sphere, there was a black hole vortex. Viscous liquid kept flowing out of the black hole vortex. This liquid was the color of crystal, and it was transparent. There were many bubbles within it, and the power of creation was constantly being created and destroyed. This was the pure power of the world, stolen by Gu Chansha from all the Dharma realms. In that short period of time, the life's wish sphere had already stolen at least 10 years of the Dharma realm savings. However, compared to the 7,000 or 8,000 years of accumulation of the Dharma realm, this was simply a drop in the bucket. It was nothing. Fortunately, Gu Chansha did not stop stealing treasures. The two treasures equivalent to the Buzhou Palace, the little thunderclap ancient temple and the little Muni Buddhist pagoda, were taken away. It appeared inside the sphere and emitted a Buddha nature that was peaceful and peaceful. Zhuge pointed out, and the vines of the tree of wishes wrapped around the two magical treasures, wrapping them up and wriggling about to absorb them as well. Three-realm seal collect. At this time, Gu Chansha aimed at the three-realm seal again. This three-realm seal was refined by the ancient Son of Heaven, so it was easier for him to collect it. In a short while, the three-realm seal was completely under his control, and he sent it into the life's wish sphere. He once again found a feeling of entering the demonic ape temple of chaos and plundering without restraint. Hong Meng holy pill, Dharma tree, all-encompassing obliteration rod, little thunderclap ancient temple, little Muni Buddhist pagoda, and the three-realm seal. These 6 treasures were all ancient treasures. None of them could be refined by current cultivators. Even a god-tier expert would find it difficult to refine them. The legalists had spent a lot of effort to collect these treasures. Now that they had met with a calamity, all of them had fallen into Gu Chansha's hands. Rumble. He had just collected the three-realm seal when all the law realm's essence chi rippled even more violently. Space shattered everywhere. If he did not have Chong Wei-Yong, Wenhong, and Tai Xiandu's talismans protecting him, as well as the life's wish sphere's world power, he would have been torn apart long ago. Even with the quality of the heavenly law technique, his realm was still very low. He could not interfere in a battle between a god-tier expert or a saint. Fortunately, he did not want to interfere. The more chaotic the law realms were, the better. That way, he could steal world power to replenish the life's wish sphere. Moreover, he was becoming more and more familiar with the law realms, and he also started to understand some of the Dharma saint's secrets. Devour change. He devoured the power in large gulps. The world power in the life's wish sphere started to gather. 11 years, 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, 15 years, every few breaths. The power he stole was equivalent to a year's worth of world power in the law realms, which saved the life's wish sphere many years of evolution. Only by stealing like this could he quickly shorten the distance between the Celestial Tranquility Department and the aristocratic families. The life's wish sphere expanded rapidly, and the space within it stabilized. It activated its original ability, giving rise to many layers of space. How powerful was the legalism's accumulation? There were 13 God-tier experts, a large number of grand elders, and countless disciples offering incense to their ancestors every day. The Dharma saints' teachings spread, and they could obtain a lot of wish power. Even if this power was accumulated for a year, it would still be unbelievably vast. Now that they were being robbed year after year, Gu Chunsha and Zhuge Ye were overjoyed. Even though they were calm, they could not suppress their excitement. In the process of absorbing the power, the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise were all smiles. They absorbed the power, and through the tree of hope and the Tai pearl, they obtained the essence, and they were also rapidly evolving. This time around, the Celestial Tranquility Department had profited greatly. However, Guchen Sha still felt that the situation was grim. He had taken advantage of the Dharma Saint's tribulation to become a great thief here, but compared to the Dharma Saint achievements, he was like a child playing house. As long as the Dharma Saint got through this tribulation, he would be able to suppress the entire Celestial Tranquility Department with just a flip of his hand. Moreover, the Celestial Tranquility Department still had two enemies, the Great Spirit God and the Sorcerer Ancestor. He had truly seen the legalism's foundation. It was far too powerful. Even if he obtained a lot of treasures, the losses he would suffer when dealing with the legalism would only be a drop in the ocean. The legalism's greatest core was the 13 divine level experts, in addition to the Dharma Saint and all the law realms. As long as nothing happened to these three great trump cards, the legalism would not be shaken. Gu Qinsha knew this very well. Therefore, he was still unwilling to accept this. He wanted to gain more benefits and expand the Celestial Tranquility Department's power as much as possible. When the time came, he would have more capital to resist. Divine level experts. Right now, our Celestial Tranquility Department lacks divine level experts to hold down the fort. If it's Zhuge Ye, Bai Yue, or me, or even if the black tortoise baby cultivates to the divine level, we'll be able to suppress the situation. However, even if it's Zhuge Ye who wants to cultivate to the divine level, it'll still take several decades. Gu Qinsha was very anxious. Based on the current situation of the world, the tribulation would probably erupt within 10 years. It might not even need 10 years. It was impossible for the Celestial Tranquility Department to produce a divine level expert within 10 years. It was impossible no matter how fast it was. What other treasures are there in all these law realms? Gu Qinsha did not dare to spread out his magic power. The turbulence here was very terrifying, and all the law realm's powers were being activated. All of a sudden, holy light appeared once again at the highest point of all the law realms. This is bad. The Dharma Saint's powers are increasing rapidly. I can't stay here any longer. Gu Chunsha was astonished. He immediately left behind a hint of Do 19's aura and then left this place. If he did not leave and was greedy for the treasures, he would probably die here and expose many flaws. He was very patient and extremely calm. He knew that he could not do anything, so he immediately left. He still had things to do. That was to transform into Fa Wuxian, kill the dwarf abandoned, and make the legalists and the dwarf demons fall out. Even if he could not fall out, he could delay the eruption and do everything possible to buy more time. Whoosh! He completely left all the law realms. After leaving, he appeared in the legalist palace complex. He found that the entire palace complex was enveloped by a layer of light, and there was no sign of the disaster. This meant that the legalists still had many tricks up their sleeves. The Dharma Saint has survived the tribulation and truly returned to the world. The situation is extremely dangerous. Gu Qinsha said, however, he should not have completely stabilized yet. I'll take this opportunity to kill the dwarf abandoned. Natural Saint. No, I should say natural Saint Demon. When he saw the dwarf abandoned, he had already locked on to his aura. At this time, he sensed slightly and found that the dwarf abandoned had not left the law province. The dwarf abandoned stood high in the sky at the edge of the law province and looked at the legalist palace complex that was glowing. He carefully observed, and a deep calculation appeared in his eyes. The Dharma Saint seems to have encountered a tribulation, But this tribulation is not a problem for him. Should I take advantage of this tribulation to go to the legalists and obtain some treasures? It seems that won't work. He looked for a long time, shook his head, and quickly left. Soon, he flew out of the divine central continent and reached the wildlands. He did not return to the demon domain. It seemed that he wanted to go to the gathering place of the demons, the nest of 10,000 dragons, and visit Li Wanlong. He stopped in the sky above the demonic ape temple of chaos in the wildlands. He looked down at the temple, which had completely turned into a military camp. Many great Yonko soldiers were stationed there, moving resources to and fro. A wide road passed through the mountains, waterfalls, and swamps, reaching the distance. This desolate wilderness was now filled with adventurers and merchants. They had built houses, and, at the same time, they had opened up fields and manors. It was as if they wanted to turn this desolate wilderness, which had been desolate for hundreds of millions of years, into a true human town. Back then, the demonic ape temple of chaos shook countless worlds. Now, its temple has been occupied by others. These damned humans. A bloody light appeared in the dwarf abandoned's eyes. It seemed like he wanted to raise his hand and attack the mortals below, but he held back in the end. He looked at the faraway tranquil fairy department and the castles that Gu Chansha had built. Then, his eyes flashed fiercely, as if he could see through the void. Chapter 480. Originally, the Life's Wish sphere was placed in a parallel space within the ancient dust sand sealed grounds. Any expert would be able to sense it just by slightly circulating their spirit force. That was because the sphere was not yet complete, and it could only show traces of itself in the cracks of space. There was nothing that could be done about it. Any grotto heaven-level magic treasure would require hundreds of years of familiarizing itself with the spatial vibrations. Only then could it be perfectly fused into space, leaving no trace behind. It would be impossible for others to find it. The Department of Calmness has improved so quickly. Did you get help from an expert? Abandoned dwarf frowned and thought. Last time, someone impersonated me and killed experts of the dark armor great demon race, blood demon race, and six-armed snake demon race. It almost caused internal strife in our alliance. In the end, I couldn't clear my name. Father and the god-level experts of the races worked together to calculate, but they didn't find anything. The experts of the races felt that my father used a secret technique to hide the heavenly secrets. Even now, our races are still at odds. The important matter has been delayed because of this. I suspect that it's the Department of Calmness, but there's no evidence. When I return from the nest of 10,000 dragons, I'll enter the Department of Calmness and investigate. He didn't attack, as if he had something important to do. He didn't want to alert the enemy. Whoosh! He continued to fly into the depths of the desolate land. The desolate land was endless. It was full of barren mountains and rivers, hot and humid forests that covered the sky. The nests of demons were hidden there. There were countless demons, evil cultivators, and barbarian tribes along the way. Other than that, there were also inheritors of ancient witchcraft. Do 19 saw all of this. Although the desolate land was full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons, it had a true master. It wasn't the barbarian saint of the barbarians, but the master of all demons and the master of the nest of 10,000 dragons, Li Wanlong. Even the three godly apes and god-level experts of the races had to listen to the orders of the nest of 10,000 dragons. He had come to visit Li Wanlong and set up some things together. Although the legalists have come to an agreement with us, we can't trust them. The nest of 10,000 dragons is slightly more trustworthy. After all, demons and demons have been inseparable since ancient times. Demons are demons, and demons are demons. Abandoned dwarf continued to fly. Suddenly, rumble! A golden staff appeared noiselessly, radiating an aura that could shatter ancient times and annihilate all living things. As it descended, it was already right above Meng Hao's head. The aura of this staff was boundless. When it pressed down, even space itself was shattered. This is... Abandoned dwarf was shocked. The weapon of the ancient Hercules, the Wanxiang shattering rod. Isn't this rod in the school of legalism? Dang! A weapon appeared in his hand. It was a scepter covered with carvings of ancient devil gods. At the top of the scepter sat a supreme god. This god had no face. It was black, white, and yet not white. It was the statue of God Maha. This magical treasure was also refined by a god-level expert. The two magic treasures collided in the air. Kacha! The scepter that the dwarf had abandoned was shattered bit by bit under the Wanxiang shattering cudgel. It actually couldn't withstand it. Unfortunately, my scepter of Mahakasayapa is the newest creation of a godly expert of the dwarf demon race. Although it is very powerful, it cannot compare to this treasure that was created with the blood and sweat of an ancient Herculean god. Seeing his treasure destroyed, Abandoned the dwarf knew he was in great danger. The scepter of Mahakasayapa was a magical treasure recorded in the scripture of hell suppression. As long as one had the materials, they could create it. As a result, the dwarf gave up and had a god-rank expert from the dwarf race forge this treasure for him. But this treasure was destined to not take much effort from that godly expert. How could it compare to the Wanxiang shattering rod that the ancient Herculean god had created? Moreover, the difference between a godly expert and a god was like the difference between heaven and earth. The ancient Herculean god had been conferred the title of true god a long time ago. He could casually crush the godly experts of the dwarf demon race. When the Wanxiang shattering rod smashed down, all life would be destroyed. There was no chance of luck. Talisman. Abandoned dwarf's body changed. He had already cultivated the 26 transformations of Tao realm, and his magic power was extremely condensed. Moreover, he was a natural saint demon, and his talent was similar to Fa Wuxian. He had cultivated the true dragon technique and was extremely powerful. He was the most important person in the dwarf demon race. Gu Chunsha used the Wanxiang shattering rod to attack, but he couldn't kill him. Brother Wuxian, why are you joking with me like this? Our dwarf demon race has already reached an agreement with the legalists. Abandoned dwarf had already sensed Fa Wuxian's aura. If Brother Wuxian wants to spar with me, that's fine. But I'm afraid that I'll use too much force and hurt Brother Wuxian. I'm afraid that it'll ruin the relationship between the two families. At this moment, when Abandoned dwarf sent out a mental wave, it was filled with killing intent. He thought that Fa Wuxian had destroyed his Mahakasayapa scepter, which was a great loss to him. Even though he was the most promising young master of the dwarf demon race, he couldn't order a godly expert to create a treasure for him. This treasure was something that he had exchanged for with a favor and face. Fa Wuxian, people say that you're extremely arrogant. It seems that you think that a natural saint demon like me is inferior to a natural saint like you. Since that's the case, I'll let you know that your cultivation is still too weak. Give me this all-encompassing, shattering staff as compensation, and I won't hurt you. At this time, the dwarf Abandoned took out a talisman and wrapped it around the all-encompassing, shattering staff. Once the talisman appeared, it turned into a sky full of black light and wrapped around the Wanxiang shattering rod. Then, Abandoned dwarf made a grabbing motion with his palm. A huge black hand appeared and used the Mahakasayapa Black Hell hand to suppress Fa Wuxian. But, at this moment, in the air, Fa Wuxian's body turned into a gourd. Boundless killing intent emerged from a gourd. Even the Wanxiang shattering rod's domineering spirituality trembled like a child in the face of this killing intent. Whoosh! A flying knife appeared in the gourd. This flying knife shook the heavens, killing all immortals, demons, and gods. There was nothing it couldn't kill. Anyone that was targeted by this flying knife, regardless of whether it was tangible or intangible, would die without a doubt. This was the #1 killing treasure in the heavens, the immortal, slaying, god-punishing gourd. Gu Chunsha was killed by the true saber chi from the gourd. It was equivalent to him dying when he was slashed. But after his death, the bloodline of the heavenly talisman Great Emperor was truly activated, fusing with the saber chi. Originally, although Gu Chinch's killing strength was huge, he wasn't confident of slashing someone as pure as Abandoned Dwarf. This was because he wasn't able to fully utilize the strength of the knife energy. But in the legalism school's Dharma world, after he consumed a Hongmeng Saint pill, things were totally different. The immortal, slaying, god, punishing gourd was formed from the Hongmeng tree, and the Hongmeng Saint pill was refined from the Hongmeng tree's fruit. This pill contained supreme mysteries, and after Gu Chunsha consumed it, he started to understand the secrets of the Hongmeng tree. Just like that, he used his Tao Realm 22 transformation technique, astronomical phenomenon, to transform into the immortal, slaying, god, punishing gourd. The gourd appeared, and the knife energy shot out. Abandoned Dwarf was shocked, and he felt extreme danger descend upon him. He had never felt so close to death before. He tried his best to change his form and try to dodge the knife light. But it was like he was wrapped up in a nightmare, and he was unable to move at all. Since ancient times, there had never been a case of someone dodging the knife from the immortal, slaying, god, punishing gourd. The knife would definitely hit, and the person would definitely die. Even with Xing Qingshi's abilities, he was still sliced into pieces. Only at this moment did Abandoned Dwarf realize how terrifying this saber was. The key was that Gu Chinch's saber chi was not a simulation, but the real saber chi. Although it was only a sliver, if it was fully unleashed, it could kill gods. That strand of blade chi had been sealed by the three heavenly venerables with their supreme powers and given to Do 19 as their final trump card. Back then, if Do 19 had not been forced into a corner by Martial Emperor and Gu Chunsha, he would not have used it. If not for the Heaven Talisman Emperor bloodline and Gu Chinch's body absorbing the knife energy, even Emperor Wu would have been killed by it. Even then, Emperor Wu was hit by the remnant knife energy and was badly injured, causing his cultivation to drop. Emperor Wu's cultivation was at the 29 transformation realm, and it was really terrifying. Pum! From the moment Gu Chunsha transformed into the gourd and used the knife energy to lock onto Abandoned Dwarf, that moment had passed. No matter how many changes the dwarf abandonment made, it was of no use. As expected, he was slashed by the knife light. He didn't even have the chance to cry out. All his life, memories, luck, and even fate were slashed by the knife and snatched away. Gu Chunsha could control this saber energy with ease. He must have cultivated the heavenly Tao technique. Abandoned Dwarf's body was slashed just like that. There was no suspense at all. With his talent as a saint demon and his cultivation at the 26 transformation realm, 10,000 techniques back to one, he was slashed by Gu Chunsha with one knife. Gu Chunsha transformed once more and saw that Abandoned Dwarf left an ancient ring. The ring seemed to be made of some kind of bone, and it wasn't sliced by the knife energy. With a wave of his hand, he grabbed the ring and put it back into the all-mammoth shattering cudgel. Originally, nothing could survive the flying knife from the celestial, slaying god, slaying gourd. However, Gu Chunsha only got a thread of knife energy and not the real gourd. But something that could be left behind by that thread of knife energy was definitely a good treasure. Gu Chinch's eyes were sharp, and he knew right away that the ring was used to store items. Moreover, it was definitely the bones of an ancient expert. For example, the Great Spirit God ring was forged from the bones of the Great Spirit God. With a successful strike, it disappeared right away. Chapter 481. The original version of the celestial slaying god, slaying gourd appeared. When one killed the enemy, as long as one killed the main body, even the incarnation mark would be wiped out. This was the true secret of the celestial slaying god, slaying gourd. In truth, experts who cultivated Tao Realm, 20 transformation, gathering, and dispersing impermanence would all have some tricks up their sleeves. Even if their main body was slain, their incarnations could revive, or they could use their incarnations to travel, so it was really hard to kill them. But the celestial slaying god, slaying gourd, not only slashed the main body, but it would also slice off fate and destiny, causing all traces of one's existence to be wiped out. This was the reason why this killing weapon shocked the world. However, Gu Chensha had borrowed the power of this saber to obtain the power of the heavenly Tao. So, Gu Chensha returned to the common people's wish ball. At this time, at the place where the demon domain's seal had been broken, there was a secret room within the Nethersteel fortress. There was a lit demon lantern in this secret room, and the shadow of a person appeared within the demon lantern's light. This shadow was the dwarf abandoned. Pung! A whirlwind appeared in the room for no reason and nearly extinguished the light of the demon lamp. Death's abandonment. The dwarf showed a pained expression. At that moment, an old demon appeared in the room. When he saw such a situation, he was shocked. He waved his hand, and the entire room was covered in a demonic light. The light slowly turned back to normal. Then, the old devil pointed his finger again and injected an extremely pure, demonic aura into the magic lamp. The flames on the magic lamp rose fiercely, and abandoned the midget walked out of it. However, he was weak all over, as if he was seriously ill and had no strength at all. Celestial slaying god, slaying flying knife. Fa Wuxian, why is there such a blade? The dwarf abandoned death appeared, his expression still filled with fear. Originally, he had the potential to become a saint, so he would not feel fear because of failure. However, the moment the flying dagger appeared, he felt as if he had fallen into a nightmare. He felt that he had no chance at all. Along with the terrifying rumors that the flying knife came from the ancient era, it became a huge shadow in his heart. If you can't get rid of this shadow, you won't be able to recover. The old demon said, "Father." Abandoned dwarf knelt down. This old devil was the devil saint of the pygmy race, the pygmy death emperor. You said you were killed by Fa Wuxian? Pygmy death emperor asked. I can sense his aura. Abandoned death recovered some of his strength, but he discovered that he had suffered heavy losses. This child has lost the ring refined from God Ma's skeleton. This ring contains all of this child's treasures, pills, and puppets. This child has lost 99% of his cultivation. It will be very difficult for him to recover, and he might never have the chance to return to his original realm. Fa Wuxian, you and I are absolutely irreconcilable. The Pygmy Death Emperor knew the extent of his son's injuries. His true body had been destroyed, and he had lost his magical power core. What he had recovered now was just a spiritual imprint. His battle prowess was not even comparable to a golden core expert. Moreover, even he had no way of completely recovering from the destruction of his true body. He still had to rely on the dwarf's sacrifice to comprehend the principle of surviving a disaster. This was equivalent to Jing Fanxing suffering a calamity, and Jing Xiu had no way of helping him recover. After a long while, the devil saint of the Pygmy Death Emperor said, I just communicated with the experts of the School of Legalism. The Dharma Saint has already defeated the alliance of the Great Spirit God and the Sorcerer Ancestor. Both sides have reached an agreement, but during the chaos in all the Dharma realms, someone stole the primordial chaos holy pill, the Wanxiang shattering stick, the ancient thunderclap temple, the little Muni pagoda, the three realms seal, and a Dharma tree. So many treasures were stolen. Abandoned Death Emperor gasped. Each of these treasures is a primordial treasure. Even we can't take out more than a few of them. The School of Legalism's savings are so vast. But if it wasn't Fa Wuxian, who did it? After the incident, the School of Legalism found the aura of Heavenly Lord Victorious Battler's son, Do 19, in all the Dharma realms. The Pygmy Death Emperor said, Do 19 is most proficient in the art of transformation. He consumed the transformation fruit and once caused chaos in the mystic immortal path. This time, he infiltrated the School of Legalism and probably stole the treasures. After all, even if he did something too big, the School of Legalism wouldn't dare to punish him in front of the three heavenly venerables. Do 19, abandoned Death Emperor's eyes glowed with hatred. I see. Fa Wuxian doesn't have the immortal slaying God-punishing gourd's blade chi, and the gourd is in the hands of the three heavenly venerables. The three heavenly venerables drew out a sliver of the blade and sealed it into a talisman to kill me. This makes sense. Also, the spirit demon project that we in the school of legalism work together must have interfered with the three heavenly venerables' interests. That's about it. The pygmy Death Emperor said, I've calculated for a long time and found that Don 19 isn't suspected of killing you. But it's precisely because of this that he's even more suspicious. The three heavenly venerables must have twisted some heavenly secrets. This matter was caused by the school of legalism in the end. The school of legalism lost the all-encompassing shattering stick, and Don 19 came to kill me with it. Isn't the school of legalism responsible? The pygmy Death Emperor tried to circulate his magic power, but he realized that it was not working no matter how hard he tried. He couldn't help but say fiercely, we can't rule out the possibility that the Dharma Saint and the three heavenly venerables are working together to kill me, and at the same time, incite conflict between the pygmy demon race and the three heavenly venerables. After all, I'm a natural-born saint demon, and I'll definitely become a demon saint in the future. I'll be a great threat to the school of legalism. We can't rule out that possibility either. The pygmy Death Emperor said, I'll negotiate with the Dharma Saint and ask him to heal your injuries in exchange. Otherwise, we'll have to decline the Spirit Demon Project. The school of legalism isn't the only option for the pygmy demon race. Father, you have to be careful. The Dharma Saint was actually able to block the attacks of the Great Spirit God and the Sorcerer Ancestor, so he's probably at the level of the three heavenly venerables. If they turn on each other, we won't be able to handle it. The pygmy Death Emperor said, I know that, but the Dharma Saint is far from recovering his strength. Be it the Great Spirit God or the Sorcerer Ancestor, they're both limited. Actually, they're forcing the Dharma Saint mainly because they want to find out from the Dharma Saint how to resist the heavenly summon. The pygmy Death Emperor laughed coldly. I also want to get that technique. Father will definitely succeed. The pygmy Death Emperor said, it might not be a bad thing that I've met with this tribulation. Only by being reborn after the tribulation can I achieve supreme cultivation. Right, you are now at the 26th Tao realm transformation. 10,000 techniques, return to one. Next is the 27 world seamless, tearing space. The pygmy Death Emperor said, this transformation is the most crucial. As long as you comprehend it, you will understand the secrets of space. Once you understand it, you will step into the gate to God realm. Although you are a natural saint demon and don't have any problems with this transformation, the tribulation has strengthened your foundations. It will be easier for you to break through in the future and you won't have any doubts. Thank you for your guidance, Father. I definitely won't give up because of this. The pygmy Death Emperor said, the Dharma Saint is extremely skilled. As long as I spend some energy, I might be able to save you. The pygmy Death Emperor's body suddenly disappeared. It was obvious that he was contacting the Dharma Saint to save his son. Even with the pygmy demon race's huge business, they only had one natural saint demon. The pygmy Death Emperor couldn't be crippled just like that. Within the common people's wish ball, Gu Chansha looked at the branches of the Tree of Wishes, wrapping around the three-realm seal, Little Moni Buddhist Pagoda, and Little Thunderclap Temple. It wriggled nonstop, wanting to devour the three treasures and fuse them into the common people's wish sphere. These three treasures were all Bujo Palace-level treasures. Each of them required many God Realm experts and even saints to refine for many years before they could form a physical form. If they were absorbed by the wish tree and injected into the common people's wish ball, the ball's accumulation would increase and it would close the gap with the legalists. King really earned a lot this time. Our calming celestial division is really lucky. Zhuge couldn't suppress the joy in his heart. King swallowed the Hongmeng Saint Pill, and his strength is stronger than mine. He also obtained the spell tree made from the remains of the Heaven Monster tree. After the wish tree absorbed it, the wish tree finally formed. We really earn a lot this time. I didn't expect the legalists to have such a strong foundation. They have so many treasures in storage. That world of all Dharma far surpasses our common people's wish ball. They actually didn't merge these treasures into the world of all Dharma, which benefited us. Guchen Sha was extremely happy to see the success of the world of all Dharma he had built. The legalists will more or less keep some powerful treasures for their experts to reward their disciples when they travel. Zhuge Ye said, "Our calming celestial division's accumulation is shallow. We can only refine one treasure. Moreover, the legalists don't have the Heaven Monster Tree. Even God Realm experts can't disassemble these treasures by expending some of their mystical powers. Only the Heaven Monster Tree can absorb and reconstruct them. Once all of them are combined, their original mystical powers won't be damaged, and they can fuse them seamlessly. We have refined the Wish Tree, so we still have a great advantage." Guchen Sha frowned. However, the Dharma Sane has actually survived the tribulation. That means the pressure on us has increased greatly. We're no match for the legalists. Right now, we can only sow discord between them and obtain the space for our calming celestial division to survive and fight with the God Realm experts or even the saints. Zhuge Ye said, "Your Highness has done a masterstroke this time. You made the devil race and the legalists suspect each other. And at the same time, you made the legalists and the three heavenly venerables become enemies. With the three sides restraining each other, the time and space for us to survive has increased greatly. Next, I still have some things to do." Guchen Sha said, "The great spirit god and the sorcerer ancestor have already surfaced. They are Gu Tanjian's true supporters. They are the fourth major force. We have to obtain benefits from them." Chapter 482. The Celestial Pacification Department's harvest this time was indeed huge. More importantly, they had weakened the legalists' power. Abandoned Gnome's original body's power and memories have all been seized by me. Guchen Sha opened his mouth and a black talisman appeared. This talisman contained 99% of Abandoned Gnome's power and all of his memories. After Guchen Sha spat out this talisman, he inserted it into the Wish Tree. This was the innate holy demon's 99% power and memories after cultivating the True Dragon technique. Abandoned Gnome's memories contained all of the demon race's plans and some of the Gnome demon race's secrets. What was even more amazing was that Abandoned Gnome had grasped the complete version of the Maha Suppression Scripture. Guchen Sha had long wanted to obtain the complete version of the Maha Suppression Scripture. This scripture deeply dissected demonic nature and described spirituality. At the same time, it contained a thorough understanding of the various dimensions of the demon domain. It was a supreme demon scripture and also a demon-subduing scripture. It was rumored that when one cultivated the Maha Suppression Scripture to the extreme, one could turn demonic nature into spirituality and spirituality into demonic nature. Both of them would transform endlessly, allowing one to completely understand the principles of yin and yang, the exchange of light and darkness. If the Celestial Pacification Department obtained this scripture, it would be very beneficial for the demon calamity in the future. The Wish Tree absorbed all of Abandoned Gnome's power. As the branches swayed in the wind, many scriptures floated out of it. They were as vast as the sea, and they displayed the various situations of the demon domain. These were the words of the Maha Suppression Scripture. Good fellow, Zhuge Ye immediately began to comprehend it. This Maha Suppression Scripture is rich in content and contains everything. The demon domain's geography, origins, races, various primordial demon Tao cultivation techniques, origins of heavenly demons, medicinal herbs, alchemy, demonic body transformation, and everything else. The core of it is the Maha Spirit Demon theory. The profoundness of this scripture even surpasses the Book of Heavenly Demons. Zhuge Ye was lucky. He obtained many unparalleled divine arts. For example, the Son of Heaven's God investiture arts, sun and moon shine together, the great massacre god technique, the primordial demon Tao recorded in the Book of Heavenly Demon, and now he had obtained the Maha Suppression Scripture. In the memories of Chang Yuzhou, there were many supreme techniques of the Black Heaven Earth sect, the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra, the Dragon Creation Heart Sutra, and the various wondrous uses that the three heavenly venerables had imparted to Do 19. Other than that, there was also the myriad star-flying immortal art that Wen Hong had imparted to him, and some memories of the Xing Qiongshi. These things were a hodgepodge, each of them containing unmatched wondrous uses. Right now, they were all going to be melded together, turning into an even more exquisite martial arts suitable for calming immortal sector. With these tremendous martial arts as a foundation, the calming immortal department's own martial arts would slowly be perfected. They would seize the great Tao between heaven and earth and occupy the most precious rules in order. The azure dragon, the white tiger, the vermilion bird, and the black tortoise were all very happy. As they cultivated, all of them obtained great benefits. Gu Chunsha had abandoned the dwarf's true body, but he didn't devour its power. This was because Gu Chincha's own power was already saturated, and he could rely on his own cultivation to make up for any consumption. When he circulated his magic power, it was almost endless. It was precisely because of this that he was able to wield the Titan god's Wanxiang shattering cudgel. This cudgel was extremely heavy, and it was rumored that when this cudgel was swung, if one wasn't a god, all their magic power would be instantly sucked dry. The enemy wouldn't be killed, but the user would instead die from exhaustion. And with Gu Chincha's current magic power, he could activate this cudgel and infuse it into it with ease. This was because when he struck out with the cudgel, all his magic power would be immediately replenished in a breath's time. After he cultivated the great massacre god art, he could use this art with ease with the quality of his heavenly Tao art. Of course, his most powerful killing move was still the immortal, slaying, god-punishing gourd, which was a transformation of the law manifestation realm. Once the saber was unleashed, it could cut through everything. However, after using it, Gu Qingsha himself would also need to expend a lot of energy to suppress the killing intent of the saber energy, lest it destroy the perfection of his soul. Therefore, this saber couldn't be used easily. Back then, even when the three heavenly venerables used the power of this saber to kill Xing Qiongshi, they were also seriously injured and corroded by the killing intent. Therefore, Gu Qingsha still needed the Wanxiang shattering cudgel as a weapon. Moreover, as his cultivation increased, if he could break through his realm and his heavenly Tao art became more perfect, the power of this cudgel would even surpass the ferocious might when it was in the hands of the Titan god. The advantage of this cudgel was that it was simple. There were no unnecessary flourishes, and the cudgel didn't have any transformations. It wouldn't turn into a huge formation, and there wouldn't be any complicated entrapment techniques. It was just a simple smash, sweep, and stab. When this cudgel was activated, it also contained a scripture. It was the ultimate art left behind by the Titan god, the Overlord's strength divine art. When this technique was used, the magic power was extremely strong, and it was quite mysterious. Of course, Gu Qingsha only understood a little about it, and treated it as his own resources. He wouldn't really cultivate it. He just wanted to enrich his life heaven-mending technique. After obtaining the complete Maha Suppression scripture, this was enough for him to comprehend for a long time. Moreover, after consuming the primordial chaos holy pill, he had already completely consolidated his magic power and accumulated a huge amount of it. The next step was to comprehend the 23 transformations, past reflection. However, cultivating in seclusion to comprehend this realm wouldn't work. He had to travel among the people and experience the changes of the mortal world. Zhuge Ye's current realm was already at the 24 transformations, future glimpse, and he was trying to break through to the undying body. As his cultivation increased, the operation of the life's wish sphere became more and more exquisite. Liu Baiwei was managing the Life's Wish Academy. This was also a form of cultivation. Let me take a look. This ring left behind by the abandoned dwarf was actually not damaged by the saber energy. It seems like there are some good things stored within. Gu Qingsha took out the ring. This was forged from a piece of the Maha God's bone. It could be said to be one of the strongest materials in the world. He reached out and touched it. The space within the ring opened. He had all the memories of the abandoned dwarf and 99% of the true body's magic power. Naturally, he could open the ring. The space within the ring was huge. Rather than calling a space, it would be better to call a small world. With a sweep of the dust and sand, this small world was roughly the size of a province of the Great Yong Dynasty. It was several thousand kilometers tall, and there were even white clouds floating in the sky, as well as the sun, moon, and stars formed by formation. The power of the world within the ring was extremely dense. On the vast plains, there were 9 mountains made of primordial underworld jade. They formed an array formation called the World-Devouring Demon Array Formation. Gu Chincha's incarnation entered the world of the ring and came to the foot of a mountain made of primordial underworld jade. This mountain was hundreds of miles wide and tens of miles tall. When he knocked on it, the underworld jade emitted a sonorous sound. Demonic chi circulated within it. Although its quality could not be compared to the jade used to seal the Xingqiang clan, it was much higher than the top-grade spirit jade of the Baoyu Nation. This was refined by the abandoned dwarf using his magic power to collect many underworld jade ores from the demon domain. It had taken him a lot of effort. After setting up the World-Devouring Demon Array Formation, the abandoned dwarf cultivated within it. Other than that, there were many pills, materials, natural treasures from the demon domain, and even talismans in this small world. Of course, these treasures could not compare to the primordial chaos holy pill, Dharma tree, myriad shattering rod, small thunderclap temple, small Muni Buddhist pagoda, and 3-realm seal that Gu Chansha had obtained from the legalists. Thinking of these 6 great treasures, Gu Chansha felt that if he was a legalist, he would probably feel the heartache for a long time. He would want to capture the thief and execute him. After that, his soul would be tortured for eternity, never to be reincarnated. After checking the ring, Gu Chansha felt that rather than keeping it, he might as well let the newly born tree of wishes digest it. He could fuse everything in this small world into the sphere of the life's wish to strengthen the essence of the world. Everything was done with the goal of strengthening the sphere. This was the strategy of the Calming Immortal Department. At the moment, the Calming Immortal Department did not have the energy to nurture other high-level treasures. As long as the sphere of the life's wish was completely strengthened, everything would be easy. This ring contains a huge amount of world energy. It will be a great supplement to our life's wish. Abandoned Dwarf is indeed the most outstanding member of the dwarf demon race's younger generation. He has more treasures than F.A. Wuxian. From the looks of it, F.A. Wuxian is too arrogant. He doesn't have a good relationship with the legalist true ancestor or the Grand Elder. He doesn't have any treasures on him that can be taken from the past. This is far inferior to Abandoned Dwarf, Zhuge said. If the legalists were willing to nurture F.A. Wuxian and directly give that primordial chaos holy pill to F.A. Wuxian early on, F.A. Wuxian's achievements would definitely not be any worse than Abandoned Dwarf's. That way, I won't be able to benefit from it. It is clear that the legalists do not nurture talents. Gu Qinsha laughed. However, if I were a legalist, I would definitely not nurture an ingrate and disobedient F.A. Wuxian. This is a headache for the legalists. Fortunately, there are no ingrates in our Calming Immortal Department for now. As Zhuge spoke, a beam of light suddenly appeared above the sphere of the life's wish. Within the light, a large hall appeared. There were tens of thousands of disciples in the hall, all cultivating at the same time. They were actually cultivating the Dragon Nurturing Heart Sutra. As the tens of thousands of disciples cultivated at the same time, Dragon Nurturing Chi seeped out of their bodies and reached the ceiling of the hall. It was then absorbed by the array formation and transferred into the sphere of the life's wish. Not bad. The Life's Wish Academy has finally achieved something. Zhuge was very satisfied. These disciples are cultivating so hard that the dragon nurturing chi that their bodies can no longer store will be absorbed into the sphere, nourishing the sphere itself. This is also equivalent to these disciples contributing to the calming immortal department. The calming immortal department did not provide them with pills to nurture them in vain. It's getting better, but how long can these good days last? Guqinsha felt very uneasy. He could sense that the calming immortal department had been flourishing recently, but how could he not know if this was the final radiance of the setting sun? Prosperity is bound to decline? Would the beginning of the devil calamity be the beginning of the decline of the calming immortal department? Or would it be the beginning of the decline of the great Yonko, or even the entire human race? In any case, Guqinsha was not optimistic. In the sphere, Guqinsha recuperated for another month. He digested what he had obtained from infiltrating the legalists this time, as well as the complete version of the scripture of hell suppression that he had obtained from killing the dwarf abandoned. At the same time, he tempered his magic power and made it even purer. Then he went out again. Chapter 483. Among all the aristocratic families in the world, the school of legalism was undoubtedly number one. Before the Dharma saint awakened, the strength of the school of legalism was still incomparable to the other aristocratic families. Once the Dharma saint awakened, even the Black Heaven Earth sect would have to look up to him. The Dharma saint being able to break free from the heavenly Tao's influence and restrictions, resurrecting and returning to the human world was an unprecedented miracle. At the very least, there had never been a sage who had perished and fused with the Tao who could return to the human world. At most, the descendants of the sage's family would offer sacrifices and obtain sufficient power. After exhausting it, the sage would manifest his spirit and instruct them on something. The manifested sage did not have much power. It was just a mysterious, profound meaning. But now, the ability that the Dharma saint could unleash was actually able to resist the attacks of the great spirit god and the sorcerer ancestor. This was a power that surpassed the 36 transformations. Of course, the Dharma saint being able to break free from the heavenly Tao's restrictions and reveal his body was most likely due to a flaw in the heavenly Tao's rules and was suppressed by the heavenly talisman emperor. The heavenly talisman emperor could even distort the heavenly Tao's edict. Indirectly, it was equivalent to helping the Dharma saint. This was probably the reason why Guqinsha could cultivate the heavenly Tao technique. It was a pity for Guqinsha that he still could not obtain the secret of the Dharma saint resisting the heavenly Tao's influence. Although he had obtained a large amount of treasures from the school of legalism and earned a lot, he still felt a little regretful that he did not obtain the most important thing. Apart from the school of legalism, the second strongest family should be the Wu family. Guqinsha had been to the Wu province many times and observed the Wu family situation. He knew that the martial sage's legacy would definitely be earth-shattering. The arrangements of these sages were far in the past. Change, Wudong rise. Guqinsha circulated his heavenly Tao technique and transformed into Wudong rise again. The real Wudong Xing was now under Zhuge Ye's control and had become a chess piece. They were also biding their time, using the identity of the Heaven Alliance's special envoy to gather information everywhere. They had also contacted many disciples of aristocratic families. However, Wu Dangkong, Gu Tanjian, and Gu Xiansha had not found anything. However, Zhuge Ye had not been able to understand the secret of the great spirit god from the Jade Talisman that Gu Tanjian had given him. He was still trying his best to decipher it. The great spirit god was the most cunning existence among the many gods, so he definitely had his strong points. Even Gu Chansha felt that this god was definitely hiding somewhere, secretly observing the calming immortal department, and even clearly understanding some of the secrets of the calming immortal department. However, the calming immortal department could not find any traces of this god at all. When Han's lifelong wish was to kill the great spirit god, even if he had cultivated to the deity level, there was nothing he could do. It was true that he was the child of destiny in the past, and his aptitude surpassed that of Fa Wuxian. It would not be a problem for him to cultivate to the sage level. However, the Great Spirit God was a true God and possessed a deity seat. He later abandoned the deity seat and laid out a series of plans. From the situation where he joined forces with the sorcerer ancestor to attack the Dharma's saint, this god had most likely broken through some kind of restriction and reached a whole new realm. This realm was something that Gu Chansha could not understand at the moment. After transforming into Wudong Rise, Gu Chansha went straight to the Wu clan. He had collected all of Wudong Rise's memories, so he was very familiar with the various situations in the Wu clan. This time, he was going back to the Wu clan to see if he could steal a crucial treasure from the Wu clan, like the legalists. He would increase the cultivation of the calming immortal department's hope sphere and shift the blame to Do 19. Swoosh! He had already flown to the sky above the Wu province. From afar, he could see the 5 mountains: Yangwu Mountain, Yuanwu Mountain, True Martial Mountain, Martial Transformation Mountain, and Extreme Martial Mountain. These 5 mountains covered an area of 1,000 miles in radius. The 5 mountains were like a palm, towering over the land. The mountains were strange and beautiful. The waterfalls were like dragons, and the deep ponds were lined up. The scenery was picturesque. It was unknown how many profound mysteries it contained. In the mountains, magnificent palaces were built. They were divided according to the height of the mountains. The higher the mountain, the grander the palaces were built, and they had a domineering aura. At the bottom of the mountains was fertile farmland. It stretched out as far as the eye could see. They were all neatly divided. There were also houses in between the fields, and there were people specifically guarding them. The terrain was concealed into a formation. In the past, when Gu Chansha came, those fields were all planted with the Wu clan's Lingwu rice. But now, the Celestial Tranquility Department and the Heavenly Craft Institute had opened up fertile farmland in the desolate land. They had set up formations and experimented with planting all kinds of rice. The quality of the rice was much better than the Lingwu rice. Hence, the Wu clan no longer did these useless things. They changed all the paddy fields to planting all kinds of spirit herbs and refining elixirs. Gu Chansha saw the changes in the Wu clan. He knew that the rolling momentum of the Celestial Tranquility Department had forced these 1,000-year-old aristocratic families to make changes. When he flew to a place not far from the 5 mountains, he felt a huge force that prohibited him from flying. This was the Wu clan's no-fly zone. However, he was now a disciple of the Wu clan. Moreover, he was Wu Dangxing, who had an extremely high status. He slightly activated the Wu clan's secret technique and sensed the 5 palm-shaped mountains. He was not affected. He descended toward the palace at the peak of the Yuanwu Mountain at the center of the 5 mountains. Yuanwu Mountain was the middle finger of this huge palm. On the peak of the middle finger, a huge palace was built. The materials were all the martial path divine crystals that the Wu clan had refined for thousands of years. It was a treasure in itself. This palace was the Wu clan's meeting hall. It was used to worship the ancestors and hold family meetings. It was also the place where the upper echelons cultivated. Only the Wu clan disciples who had cultivated to the golden core could come here. The moment Gu Chansha's Wu Dangxing landed in front of the palace, a few people sensed it and walked out. One of the young men was shocked. Wu Dangxing, you actually cultivated magic power. This young man was also an 18 transformation Dao Realm Golden Core Great Dao expert. His name was Wu Dangxian. He looked at Wu Dangxing in shock. He could already feel the surging magic power from this person. A year ago, Wu Dangxing was also at the 18 transformation Dao Realm Golden Core Great Dao. But now, he had directly advanced to the 20 transformation Dao Realm Impermanence, gathering and dispersing realm magic power. It was simply terrifying. This was done on purpose by Gu Chansha. He wanted to attract the attention of the Wu clan's experts so that he could enter Wu Dang clan's martial saint grotto heaven and peek at many secrets. After his trip to the school of legalism and swallowing the Hongmeng holy pill, the circulation of his magic power became more and more exquisite. Although his realm didn't increase, his transformation techniques weren't something that God realm experts and sages could see through. Not bad, Wu Dangxian. Although you are called Dangxian, which means that you are in the lead, my cultivation has far surpassed yours. How about it? Gu Chench's Wu Dangxing was an extremely arrogant person. He looked down on all the heroes in the world and often mocked them. He was competitive in everything. Now that Gu Chansha was acting out this personality, it was just right. You, Wu Dangxian laughed from rage. I know that you have been really active recently and have become the World Alliance's envoy. You have obtained many benefits, but I suspect that you have betrayed the family and are with Gu Tanjian. In the future, you will definitely harm the family. Wu Dangxian, you are slandering me because of jealousy. Are you asking to die? Gu Chench's palm moved and pressed down. He was actually going to teach Wu Dangxian a lesson. Don't cause trouble. Just at that moment, a palm appeared from the Wu clan's hall and blocked Gu Chench's palm. An elder walked out. Wu Dangxian, follow me into the martial saint grotto heaven. The few old ancestors want to meet you. The one who came out was the Wu clan grand elder, Wu Gongxiu. This person's cultivation had reached the Tao realm 22, transformation heaven and earth. Scoff. Wu Dangxian, I will let you off today. If you dare to shout in front of me in the future, I will rip your mouth apart. The arrogant attitude that Gu Chansha displayed didn't cause anyone to doubt his identity. As long as one was within 1,000 miles of the Wu clan's 5 mountains, the formation formed by the mountains would be able to sense whether or not one was a Wu clan disciple. Wu Dangxian's eyes were filled with hatred, but he didn't dare to say anything. It seems like Wu Dangxing is used to being domineering in the Wu clan. I can use this identity to incite internal strife in the Wu clan and weaken the Wu clan's power. Gu Chansha secretly thought of few good schemes. Jiang Yi followed the Grand Elder into the depths of the Wu clan's main hall and saw a giant tunnel that led into the void. It looked like an ancient wormhole. Legend had it that in ancient times, there were void worms that could swallow chaotic space currents and create wormholes. Could it be that the Wu clan has raised a void worm? Then, I will have to raise my evaluation of the Wu clan. Although Wu Dangxian was a well-known figure in the clan and was a golden core expert in the past, he didn't have the qualifications to enter the martial saint's paradise. He wasn't clear about the true core secrets of the Wu clan. Following the ancient wormhole tunnel, Gu Chansha entered and saw a paradise that was different from all the other Dharma realms. There were 9 powerful auras guarding the depths of the martial saint's paradise. In other words, the Wu clan's foundation was 9 immortal experts. Although they couldn't compare to the 13 supremes of legalism, they were still a force that could overturn the divine continent, central plains, and even the 8 desolates. The oldest ancestor of the Wu clan was called King Wu Yu. He was the one who made the decision to send Wu Dangkong to the imperial palace as concubine Ming in exchange for an imperial edict from the heavenly talisman Great Emperor that extended his lifespan by 1,000 years. Entering the martial saint's paradise, Gu Chansha felt absolute martial strength, a will that could break through everything. Martial Tao could destroy the heavens. Martial Tao could defeat the heavens. Martial Tao could cover the heavens. Martial Tao could split the heavens. This was the essence of a martial saint. Using martial Tao to suppress and destroy everything. Any problem, any trouble, any karma, any shackles could be resolved with martial Tao. And in all Dharma realms, there was absolute order and laws. This was the difference between the 2 sages. In ancient times, martial saints were the strongest in combat, but their overall strength was not as good as the Dharma saint. When Gu Chansha stepped into the martial saint's paradise, the 9 powerful auras of the 9 immortal experts had already scanned his body, but they didn't find anything strange. Wu Dangxing greets the ancestors. Gu Chansha knelt down. His expression was full of respect. Chapter 484. Reporting to Old Ancestor, I was roped in by Gu Tanjian. He gave me many elixirs and even injected a streak of divine power into my body to help me refine them and raise my cultivation level. I don't know if there are any dangers. I hope old ancestor can check my body. Gu Qinsha proceeded according to his plan. That Gu Tanjian really spared no effort. King Wu Yu injected a streak of divine power into Gu Qinsha's body. After circulating it once, he didn't find any problems. Hence, he retracted the divine power. Don't worry, Gu Tanjian didn't set up any tricks on your body. He isn't so childish as to use this to deal with our Wu clan. Very good. My heavenly Tao technique is indeed ever-changing. Even an expert like King Wu Yu couldn't detect it. If I hadn't consumed the Hongmeng Holy Elixir, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to circulate my magic power properly. Then I might have been caught. Gu Qinsha understood some things. Old ancestor, I heard some news from Gu Tanjian. It's very disadvantageous for our Wu clan, Gu Qinsha said. Speak. The 9 god-grade experts of the Wu clan started thinking. The Dharma saint of the legalism clan has returned. He even reached some kind of spirit-demon agreement with the pygmy demon race. He wants to merge the demon race and the human race. Gu Qinsha threw out this piece of important news. What? The Dharma saint has returned? How is it possible that he can be resurrected after dying, freed from the heavenly Tao's restraints? At this time, the 9 god-grade experts were really shaken. None of them believed all this. It seemed like the news of the legalism clan hadn't spread yet. Only the Pygmy Death Emperor and Pygmy Death Emperor of the Pygmy Demon race, as well as the Great Spirit God and the Sorcerer Ancestor knew about it. The Wu clan and the other aristocratic families were still in the dark. The school of legalism naturally wanted to make use of the return of the Dharma saint to accumulate more power and explode out once more, sweeping through the world, suppressing the various large families and becoming the leader of the large families. Although the Dharma saint of the school of legalism had returned, Gu Qinsha guessed that the Dharma saint had not fully recovered his strength and had no choice but to compromise with the Great Spirit God and the Sorcerer Ancestor. There was also the school of legalism that lost 6 archaic treasures. Their loss is also extremely great. They were already truly wounded to the core. It's no wonder that the school of legalism seems to have some strange movements over the past few days. All the law realms seem to have an indistinct and unknown power spreading out in space-time. I thought that the school of legalism was making some plans to make preparations for the upcoming calamity. I didn't expect it to be the return of the Dharma saint. Could it be that the school of legalism is really going to be the leader of all the aristocratic clans and ride on our heads in the future? A divine expert from the Wu clan started to panic. There was no reason for the Wu clan's divine expert to not panic, and the battles between the aristocratic clans would definitely not be polite. In other words, if the school of legalism could suppress the aristocratic clans, it would definitely weaken the Wu clan's strength. They might even kill the Wu clan's divine expert and refine them into artifacts. When that time came, the Wu clan would become slaves. This wasn't strange at all. Since ancient times, the battles between the aristocratic clans were much crueler than this. The battles between the aristocratic clans were a little similar to the battles between countries. When a country conquered another country, the conquered country's aristocrats, nobles, emperors, and ministers might not all be executed, but their strength would be weakened and they would be imprisoned. If the Dharma saint returns, our Wu clan will indeed not be a match for him. We have to ally with the various aristocratic clans to contend against the school of legalism. Otherwise, if the Wu clan's lineage ends in the future, we will all be sinners for all eternity. That's right, this isn't a small matter. When the Heaven Talisman, the Arch, established the imperial court, he can accommodate our Wu clan, and we will at most suffer some pressure. However, if the school of legalism gains power, we divine experts will definitely be a huge threat to the school of legalism and will definitely be eradicated. We mustn't let the school of legalism gain power. Wu Dangxing, you've made a great contribution this time around. We'll definitely reward you. Tell me, what do you want? King Wu Yu asked. This disciple is also a member of the Wu clan and doesn't need any rewards, Gu Qinsha quickly said. Also, this disciple has some ideas that can go up against the school of legalism. Oh, let's hear it. With this, the group of divine-level experts from the Wu clan looked at Wu Dangxing in a different light. If you have a way to go up against the school of legalism, we'll definitely reward you handsomely. Many thanks, old ancestor, Gu Chansha said. Actually, this disciple has also received news that when the Dharma saint was reviving, the great spirit god and the sorcerer ancestor joined forces to attack all the legal realms. While the Dharma saint had yet to fully recover his powers, they forced him to tell them how he could go up against the heavenly law's summons and how he could revive. With that, the Dharma saint had no choice but to sign an alliance. And Gu Tanjian is the spokesperson of the great spirit god and the sorcerer ancestor. If old ancestor can give me special privileges and let me be a special envoy representing the school of legalism to temporarily submit to Gu Tanjian, then I'll definitely be able to get many opportunities. At the very least, I'll be able to get many benefits from the great spirit god and the sorcerer ancestor behind Gu Tanjian. At the same time, I'll be able to drive the tiger to devour the wolf and deal with the school of legalism. After Gu Chansha shared his plan, he shut his mouth and quietly waited for the decision of the 9 divine-level experts from the school of legalism. As expected, the 9 divine-level experts exchanged their opinions. King Wu Yu then spoke again. Wu Dangxing, do you have any concrete details to share? This disciple has a few ideas and hopes for old ancestors' guidance. Firstly, we can follow Gu Tanjian's lead on the surface, but he must give us some benefits. That is, Gu Tanjian can bestow a large number of dragon-nurturing pills and dragon creation pills to increase the number of geniuses and unrivaled geniuses in our Wu clan. We'll be able to receive substantial benefits. Gu Chansha came up with a huge plan. Continue. When the 9 divine-level experts saw that Gu Chansha had paused for a moment, they quickly said, if there's a large number of dragon-nurturing pills and dragon creation pills, it's not impossible for our Wu clan to be obedient in name. Secondly, the great spirit god and the sorcerer ancestor have already obtained the method to resist the heavenly Tao's summon from the Dharma saint. Gu Chansha spoke frankly with assurance and was getting more and more proficient. Since that's the case, we can also obtain this method from the great spirit god and the sorcerer ancestor. It's not impossible for our martial sage to break free from the heavenly Tao's restraints and descend into the mortal world once again. Since the Dharma saint can do this, then Lord Martial Sage will definitely be able to do it as well. Well said. This is the crucial point. For Lord Martial Sage's revival, we can make any sacrifices. King Wu Yu spoke in a resolute and decisive voice. This disciple will definitely do his best for the Martial Sage's revival. Gu Chansha said, the third point is that this disciple will contact the various factions and can even feign civility with the Tranquil Immortal Department. Everything will be for the sake of increasing my strength. The fourth point is that the Legalism clan can cooperate with the Devil race. We can do it too. As long as it's beneficial to our Wu clan, this disciple will do it. Good. The 9 God-class experts nodded and let out praising voices. Our Wu clan lacks a disciple, like you, who dares to be the first in the world and dares to fight and kill. For the clan, you can advance bravely. We will authorize you to be the Wu clan's special envoy. You can communicate with us directly. As they spoke, the 9 God-class experts formed a talisman and slowly landed in Gu Chansha's hand. This was the authorization talisman of the 9 God-class experts. It also had a certain level of defense and attack power. Gu Chansha nodded silently. He had a few tokens on him now. Gu Tanjian gave him the Great Spirit God talisman. It could be used once to protect his life in front of a God-class expert. Other than that, it also had the ability to escape. In addition, there was another talisman that Chong Weiyong, Wen Hong, and Tai Xuandu had worked together to refine. It had many more wondrous uses. The third token was the Heaven Alliance's Special Envoy Jade token that Gu Tanjian, Gu Dangkong, and Gu Xiansha had worked together to refine. It didn't have any attack or defense power. It was just a simple token. The fourth token was the token talisman that the 9 God-class experts of the Wu clan had given him. It seems that I can rely on this Heaven Dao art's quality to change in the future. When I go to the big, profound, immortal Dao sex, I will be able to obtain a huge amount of wealth. Back then, Do 19 did this too. My current transformation art has completely surpassed Do 19 and even 1,000 transformation stone ape. Gu Qinsha thought to himself, the profound immortal Dao sects have nothing good to cheat. I might as well go to the demon race and cheat countless treasures. Wu Dangxing, go to your work. Here is a magic treasure. We will bestow it to you. Suddenly, King Wu Yu waved his hand. Instantly, a sword appeared in the martial saint space. The sword's guard was in the shape of a dragon. The body of the sword flickered like lightning. It showed an extremely strong killing power. This is one of the 7 divine swords that Lord Martial Saint refined back then. This sword is called Slash Thunder. If you obtain this sword and use its profoundness with your current cultivation, you will be able to injure any expert under the 27th transformation. Wonderful. Gu Qinsha was overjoyed. This Slash Thunder sacred sword was not as good as the all-encompassing Shattering Cudgel, but it was still a rare magic treasure. Even Wu Dangkong had not received this much attention from the Wu clan. This disciple will do his best to prepare for Lord Martial Saint's revival. Gu Qinsha put on an act. However, this disciple wants to say something else. Rumors say that Wu Dangkong obtained the Heaven Sacrificial Talisman. If she can activate it, then Lord Martial Saint's revival will be even more likely. It's a pity that this girl doesn't care about the clan at all. She is truly a traitor to the clan. Gu Qinsha was trying to sow discord between Wu Dangkong and the Wu clan. This girl has other ideas. After obtaining the Heaven Sacrificial Talisman, she started to establish her own clan. Actually, she has always hated me for sending her to the palace. But now, it seems that she has obtained many benefits from the palace. If she had followed that idiot Jing Fanqing, how could she have her current achievements? King Wu Yu's tone was somewhat strange. Working for the clan is a matter of course. So what if it's a sacrifice? Gu Qinsha felt that he could completely force Wu Dangkong to rebel. Now that the legalism Dharma Saint has returned, he will definitely act against our Wu clan. Wu Dangkong is a key focus. If Wu Dangkong returns to the clan and works wholeheartedly for our Wu clan, then our Wu clan can immediately capture demons and sacrifice them. We will obtain countless treasures and even prepare for our ancestors to become sages. Chapter 485. Ancestors, don't worry. I will definitely convince Wu Dangkong to work for the family. In fact, her current position is built on the foundation of the family. Without the family support, she would have been killed long ago, and the heavenly sacrifice decree would have been taken. Gu Qinsha continued to tempt them. He wanted to incite the dissatisfaction of the Wu clan's old ancestor divine experts towards Wu Dangkong. That way, the Calming Immortal Department would have more time to develop. Right now, he wanted to incite the aristocratic families to fight against the legalists and destroy the spirit demon plan. At the same time, he wanted the legalists and the demons to hate the 3 celestial venerables. He wanted the various factions to destroy each other and delay the outbreak of the calamity. He wanted to buy time for the Calming Immortal Department, the common people, and the Imperial Court. Even one more year would be good. As long as he could delay it for a year, the world would have a lot of people, and the Calming Immortal Department's human dragon pills would flow into the world. Many martial arts masters and Dao realm experts would be born. Don't underestimate these people. They would be seeds of hope in the future. Go. We will make the decision for you, King Wu Yu said. But be careful, especially with the Calming Immortal Department. If you want to work with them and use them, be careful not to be used by them. That Lord of 7 stars, Zhugeya, is full of tricks. Not even the 3 divine apes can scheme against him. The 1,000 transformation stone ape and the yin yang ghost ape are the best at setting up traps, but they still suffered a big loss against Zhugeya. Yes, Gu Qinsha left the martial saint's paradise just like that. After he came out, he ignored the Wu family's attempts to recruit him. Instead, he headed straight for Gu Tanjin's fief. The martial saint's paradise has a lot of resources. Although it can't compare to all the Dharma realms, it's still a bit stronger than our life's wish sphere. However, as long as our sphere completely digests the little thunderclap temple, the little Moni Buddhist pagoda, the three-realm seal, and the Mahakasepa bone ring, it should be enough. It's a pity that we don't have a God-rank expert overseeing it. We can't use the paradise's full power. After Gu Qinsha left the martial province, he began to compare the differences between the sphere of common people's wish, all law realms, and the martial saint's paradise. In fact, in essence, the life's wish sphere was not weaker than the battle saint's paradise and all law realms. It just lacked some foundation and accumulation. This was just a matter of time. Moreover, as time progressed and the tree of desire grew, the number of commoners and disciples influenced by the Academy of Common People's wishes would increase, and the essence of the sphere would become purer and purer. In the future, the potential of the sphere would far surpass that of the martial saint's paradise and all Dharma realms. One had to know that the sphere was fused with many powerful magical treasures and powers. However, the heavenly passage world cared about purity. There were too many of those powers, and they were too heterogeneous. Even though they were tyrannical and enormous, they weren't unified. It was just like the human race, where there were many aristocratic families, but they weren't united. Gu Qinsha, Zhuge, Liu Baiwei, and the others had assembled all sorts of powerful artifacts into this life's wish sphere. In fact, it already had a lot of potential, but it had yet to be fully refined. In truth, the life's wish sphere was also waiting for a world upgrade. As long as all the magical treasure energy cores were fused with the will of life's wish, the world core would be stable. That's right, it's the world core. Gu Qinsha suddenly had an epiphany. That's the will of the world itself. It represents some kind of philosophy. The philosophy of all Dharma realms is absolute order and absolute law. And the battle saint's paradise's philosophy is absolute martial strength. And in our life's wish sphere, there's also the primordial demon Tao's law of the jungle. That's the core foundation, the book of heavenly demon, and it hasn't been completely reversed. There's also the profoundness of the Buzhou Palace's Tao of Buzhou and the Dragon Sex Tao of Dragon Transformation. Other than that, there are countless scattered wills that haven't completely condensed into a unified world core. However, we have a path now, and that's the life's wish. As long as they refine the life's wish sphere, the interior of the sphere would be pure. The various wills of the primordial demon Tao would be eliminated, and they would be enlightened. Then, it would definitely be comparable to the battle saint's paradise and all Dharma realms. Of course, even if the two worlds were comparable, if they really clashed, the Celestial Commerce Department would still be at a disadvantage. This was because they didn't have a deity rank expert to operate it. Only a deity rank expert's world energy could move the world and unleash its greatest might. Even if the Celestial Commerce Department had a deity rank expert, the situation wouldn't be like this. Unfortunately, they still didn't have one. Clang! Gu Qinsha pulled out the Thunder Slayer sword. The moment the sword was pulled out and imbued with magic power, the sword instantly emitted an aura of annihilation. With a slight swing of the sword, light rays shot out thousands of miles away. Even the undying body, which had exquisite transformations of magic power, couldn't escape death. Not bad, not bad. Although this sword isn't as good as the Wanxiang Shattering Staff, it's still an extremely powerful weapon. At the very least, it's hard for me to condense this sword on the wish tree. The martial saint forged this sword, and it contains the true essence of the martial Tao. However, it's hard to say who's stronger between the martial saint and the Hercules god. Gu Qinsha kept the sword. The realm of a sage was much stronger than a deity rank expert. However, it was different for an expert who had obtained a deity throne. It was hard to say who was stronger between an expert who had obtained a deity throne and a sage who had reached the pinnacle of the 36 transformations. He would have to fight them to find out. However, the Thunderslayer sword was one of the many weapons forged by the martial saint, while the Wanxiang Shattering Staff was the origin weapon that the Hercules god had spent his entire life forging. Naturally, it couldn't be compared. Now that Gu Chansha had the Wanxiang Shattering Staff, the Thunderslayer sword wasn't very useful to him. When I have the time, I'll simulate a scenario and let Do 19 snatch this Thunderslayer sword. Gu Chansha thought of a plan. In the future, this Thunderslayer sword could be used by the Celestial Calmness Department subordinates. In fact, it could even be used by the General of Common People. If I have 360 treasures like the Thunderslayer sword and give them all to the General of Common People, to what extent would his power increase? Gu Chansha had an idea. In the Wu family, there are 7 of such swords. It seems like I have to obtain all of them and then head to the demon race to steal such treasures. Each of the General of Common People was extremely strong. They had the quality of the true dragon technique. Moreover, it was the 5th stage of the true dragon technique. They had cultivated the river of myriad beings and were not much weaker than Wu Dankong. Even if one of them went out, it could cause chaos in the celestial path. In the past, Xiao Yin, Elder Wangji, and Gu Hua couldn't even be smacked by one of the General of Common People. Moreover, the General of Common People was pretty much a clone of Gu Chansha and was connected to Gu Chansha by blood. As Gu Chansha's cultivation increased, these General of Common People would also increase their cultivation. Gu Chansha was just about to land in Gu Tanjin's territory when suddenly an extremely strong force swept over. Power of the world. Gu Chansha was about to activate the power of the talisman, but then he changed his mind and allowed the force to sweep him away. Dozens of breaths later, the space in front of him changed. Then, a person appeared in front of Gu Chansha. He was extremely tall, like an ancient emperor. It was the Martial Emperor. The Martial Emperor actually cultivated to the god realm. Last time, his cultivation was slashed by that blade energy, and he actually managed to cultivate it back in just a year. Moreover, he even improved. So, terrifying? Did the Martial Emperor comprehend a divergent? Gu Chansha was shocked. The Martial Emperor was now a god realm expert. If one said that the person with the most hope to comprehend a divergent wasn't Jing Xiu, Gu Chansha himself, or anyone else, it was the Martial Emperor. The Martial Emperor unified the world and created a giant empire. However, he met with a calamity and the empire was destroyed. Now that he was revived, he comprehended many secrets. If he became a divergent, Gu Chansha wouldn't find it strange. Instead, he felt that it was natural. You're the junior of the Wu family, Wu Danxing. You actually obtained the lightning slaying sword. The Martial Emperor asked right away, "Who is this senior? Why are you joking with me?" When Gu Chansha heard the Martial Emperor speak, he was secretly happy. He knew that the Martial Emperor didn't recognize him and thought he was Wu Danxing. "I'm the Martial Emperor. I have been revived. Now, I want to return to the Wu family and regain control. If you rely on me, your future will be limitless." The Martial Emperor spoke directly and didn't hide anything. "You are the Martial Emperor? I don't believe it." Gu Chansha pretended to smile bitterly. "What does senior need? Don't joke with me like this." Junior, how would you know the profoundness of this emperor? The Wu family is now in danger. If I don't join the Wu family, I'm afraid it will be destroyed by the legalism in the future. The Martial Emperor sent a thought over, revealing his true identity as the Martial Emperor. Gu Chansha quickly said, "It's really the Martial Emperor. My Wu family is saved." "What? You know about the legalism, too?" The Martial Emperor was startled. "Yes, the legalism Dharma saint has returned. This is the news I got from Gu Tanjian." Gu Chansha repeated the story again. "Now that the Martial Emperor is back to take charge, my Wu family will definitely be safe from disaster." "You're smart, kid." The Martial Emperor laughed loudly. "You support me too? That's good too. If I join the Wu family, you'll be the first hero." "Thank you, Martial Emperor, for your support." Gu Chansha already had a plan. Martial Emperor must have sensed me activating the Thunder Slash sword. The Thunder Slash sword was slightly activated, and the sword chi spread out for thousands of miles. Naturally, many powerful existences could sense it. Not bad. I admire your quick-wittedness. The Martial Emperor had a good impression of Gu Chincha's Wu Danxing, but he didn't know that this was the little rascal who had dealt with him many times. Martial Emperor, how about joining the Wu family now? Gu Chincha quickly said. If he brought the Martial Emperor into the Wu family, he could disrupt the situation. This way, he might be able to steal some of the Wu family's treasures. Chapter 486. It seems like the Martial Emperor is still unable to deal with the 9 God-rank experts of the Wu clan and the Martial Saint Grotto Heaven. Gu Qinshan knew that the Martial Emperor's current cultivation had reached the Tao Realm's 30th transformation and had the ability to open up a world. He could be considered a God-class expert, but he was still far inferior to the Wu clan's foundation. It was temporarily impossible for him to return to be the clan head and wield great authority. The old ancestors of the Wu clan wouldn't listen to his orders just because he was the Martial Emperor. They might even suppress the Martial Emperor and refine him into their grotto heaven, turning him into a treasure. The internal strife within the clan was equally cruel. Among the common people, there was often a family that would kill each other in order to fight for a precious land with feng shui. Humans were good at killing each other. Of course, the demon race wasn't any better. They killed each other even more. Thinking about this, Gu Chansha seemed to understand some secret of the spirit demon. Disciple understands Martial Emperor's thoughts. I have been reading the Wu clan's records since I was young, and there are records of Martial Emperor's achievements. I know that Martial Emperor comprehended a variable and cultivated the 36 transformations. He was at the peak of embodiment transformation and was about to break through and become one of the 3 celestial venerables. Unfortunately, he met with a calamity just like Yonko. It is really a pity. If our Wu clan wants to prosper, only Martial Emperor can lead us. King Wuyu and those old ancestors are still lacking. Gu Qinshan knew what to say. He flattered the Martial Emperor. I hope Martial Emperor can guide me in my cultivation. That's easy. You're my Wu clan's disciple after all. Of course, I have to nurture you. The Martial Emperor felt comfortable. But can you tell me the Wu clan's secret? Of course, I'll tell you everything I know. Gu Chansha immediately told the Martial Emperor everything he knew about the Martial Saint's abode. The Martial Emperor's expression didn't change. King Wuyu's cultivation is extremely strong. He was at the end of his rope and was nothing to worry about. However, he obtained the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's decree and increased his lifespan by 1,000 years. This is hard to deal with. As long as Martial Emperor recovers his strength, suppressing them will be a piece of cake. Gu Chansha tried to persuade the Martial Emperor. Recovering strength is easier said than done. The Martial Emperor waved his hand. Disciple has an idea. Gu Chansha said hurriedly. Speak. This time, I'm here to look for Gu Tanjian. This person is the spokesperson of the Great Spirit God and the Sorcerer Ancestor. He possesses an endless supply of treasures and pills. If I were to cooperate with him, I might be able to see some opportunities. Gu Qinsha said, If the Martial Emperor agrees, can I be your representative to negotiate with Gu Tanjian? Oh, this is very good. Martial Emperor's expression changed. Whether it's the Great Spirit God or the Wizard Ancestor, they're both domineering existences. I don't want anything else. If I can borrow the Wizard Ancestor's bone plate, I'll be able to regain my strength. I will definitely help Lord Martial Emperor recover his strength. Gu Chansha expressed his loyalty. I know of your loyalty. Tell me, what do you need? Let this Emperor take a look at your cultivation. Do you need magic treasures? Or do you need this Emperor to guide you in your cultivation? Or do you want me to teach you my power? Emperor Wu put his hands behind his back. I don't need magic treasures, nor do I need you to teach me your power. Gu Qinsha had already thought about it. I only hope to obtain Lord Martial Emperor's experience in understanding the Divergent. This is what I need to learn. Ha ha. Emperor Wu laughed. Wu Dangxing, you're very ambitious. You want to understand the divergent realm? However, this emperor is telling you, even if I pass on my experience in understanding the divergent realm to you, you can't just copy it. It's not that easy to understand the divergent realm. I once unified the world and encountered a calamity. After that, I was reborn, but I still couldn't understand it. It's just that not long ago, I coincidentally observed an unprecedented divergent. That's how I managed to understand it. As he spoke, Emperor Wu's smile disappeared, and his gaze became sharp. That kid is a miracle. He managed to cultivate an unprecedented heavenly Tao law. If I hadn't observed it, I might not have been able to understand the divergent realm. When Gu Qinsha heard this, he knew that Emperor Wu was talking about him. Emperor Wu had witnessed his transformation and cultivation of the heavenly Tao law. He didn't expect that this kind of feeling would allow Emperor Wu to understand the true Tao of divergent. However, when he thought about it, it was normal. Emperor Wu had already accumulated a lot of power. He was only one step away from the Tao of divergent. After observing the unprecedented heavenly Tao law, it was possible for him to understand the divergent realm. No matter how Emperor Wu understood it, Gu Qinsha only knew one thing. Emperor Wu was now a divergent. He was a true divergent apart from Chang Weiyang. I hope Lord Martial Emperor can help me. Gu Qinsha put on an ambitious look. Very well. You're the first to join me. I'll give you the experience of the Tao of divergent. If you can achieve something, I'll have to look at you in a different light. Suddenly, a sphere appeared in Emperor Wu's hand. The sphere was strange and dazzling. It kept changing and turned into a book. There seemed to be countless weapons and horses in the book. Lord Martial Emperor, this is... Gu Qinsha was shocked. This book is called Martial Emperor Record. It contains my life's experience. It contains the things that I learned since I was young. It also contains my way of ruling a country. It also contains my supreme experience when I entered the Dragon Gate of the prehistoric universe. There are also many miraculous encounters. It also contains the feeling of despair and rebirth after encountering the Tao of divergent. It also contains the changes when I was comprehending the Tao of divergent. Even if you learn some small secrets from it, you could directly comprehend many realms. Emperor Wu threw the book into Gu Qinsha's hand. Gu Qinsha picked up the book and immediately flipped it. The book turned into light and entered his body. Lord Martial Emperor, Gu Qinsha was shocked. Don't panic. This is just one of my tricks. This is the way of the Emperor. Although you joined me as soon as you came, I can't completely trust you. Therefore, I set up the celestial divine restriction in this book. However, the content of the book is real. As long as you comprehend it, you will definitely become my supporter. I cannot brainwash you. Emperor Wu did not hide his power as an emperor at all. This martial emperor is still like this. He doesn't trust anyone. However, being an emperor for so long is like this. He is alone. Fortunately, I was prepared. It is not my first time dealing with Emperor Wu. The experience in this book is indeed real. However, those who read this book will be brainwashed by Emperor Wu. Gu Qinsha was very clear about this. However, how could he be the same as Wu Dangxing? He had already activated his cultivation and secretly infiltrated the book. When he obtained the experience in the book, he also dispelled the restriction in it. He had already experienced Emperor Wu's habit of controlling his subordinates. Lord Martial Emperor is wise. I admire you. Gu Qinsha pretended to be real. It seemed like he had really been brainwashed. I can't accept such a large amount of experience and memory in a short time. With your cultivation, if you want to comprehend my experience, you will need at least 10 years. Emperor Wu did not care. Now, I will give you a mission. Go and contact Gu Tianjian. Emperor Wu threw another talisman into Gu Qinsha's hand. This is a talisman to communicate with me. If you encounter any danger, crush it and I will come. Thank you, Emperor Wu. Gu Qinsha sneered in his heart. As he spoke, Emperor Wu disappeared completely. At this time, Gu Qinsha circulated his magic power. The large amount of Emperor Wu's memory and the experience of comprehending the Tao of deviance fused into his soul. After a long time, he opened his eyes. Emperor Wu indeed left something behind. He didn't even have the most important information to comprehend the deviant. This emperor is too scheming. He doesn't trust anyone. He has cultivated the emperor heart technique to the extreme. However, he lacks the majestic spirit of working together for the world. If you don't trust the world, how can a world trust you? No matter what, although he lacked the most important information to comprehend the deviant, there were still many valuable things in Emperor Wu's experience. Gu Qinsha used this experience as his own resource. He carefully comprehended it and fused it together. He had accumulated too much. He had obtained the memories of many sages and dominating figures. The magic power in his body circulated, ready to gush out at any time. It was these experiences and resources that allowed him to gain many new insights and changes. The situation is complicated. All the major forces have shown themselves. However, I like this kind of situation. The more complicated it is, the more room I have to display my abilities. At this time, I represent the Wu clan. Emperor Wu, let's see if I can negotiate with Gu Tanjian to obtain some resources. Gu Qinsha activated his heavenly Dao law slightly and completely dissolved the restrictions left behind by Emperor Wu. Thus, he directly landed in Gu Tanjian's fief. Gu Tanjian's fief was expanding. It seemed that he had conquered a lot of territory in the past few days. Looking at the general trend of the world, the divine central plains had completely invaded the wildlands. Over the years, the barbarians had been forced into retreat, unable to organize a decent resistance. Many of the barbarian divine temples have been occupied, and many forests, grasslands, and lakes in the wildlands have been reclaimed and turned into Yonko-esque cities. It had been 11 years since the imperial court had begun to march against the barbarians in the 14th year of the Heavenly Talisman era. During these 11 years, the Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor had not appeared for more than half of the time. However, the imperial court was still operating smoothly. Its territory was constantly expanding, and the various institutions were extremely lively. They had not decayed or lost their vitality. Gu Qinsha suddenly had another realization. In the days when Imperial Father disappeared, everyone in the imperial court seemed to have sensed danger. They were afraid that the great situation before them would be destroyed by calamity. Everyone was working hard, not daring to slack off. If Imperial Father hadn't disappeared, the nobles in the imperial court would have felt that they had something to rely on and would instead be able to enjoy themselves in peace. From this point of view, Imperial Father's disappearance has stimulated some kind of fighting spirit. This is a good thing for the fate of the nation. The Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor had disappeared for so long that it would be a lie to say that the entire imperial court was not worried. Thus, everyone was desperately accumulating resources in order to deal with the turmoil and calamity that could happen at any time. This kind of emotion spread to the common people. The large families were also accumulating food, cultivating with all their might, and building houses and skyscrapers. Chapter 487. Actually, anyone with a bit of intelligence in the imperial court knew that the imperial court seemed to be flourishing on the surface, but because of the lack of the Heavenly Talisman Emperor, once it collapsed, it would bring chaos to the world. Such pressure made everyone feel tense on the inside. Gu Qinsha understood this and was impressed by the Heavenly Talisman Emperor's foresight. At the very least, his calming immortal department had done their best to bring out their greatest potential. They cultivated and developed with all their might, trying their best to delay the eruption of the devil calamity. At the same time, they increased their own strength. Even if they faced all sorts of dangers, they still dared to fight. If the Heavenly Talisman Emperor was still here, Gu Qinsha definitely wouldn't have done this. He was a calm person and would consider his own safety first. If he wasn't 80 to 90% confident, he definitely wouldn't risk it. But now, even if there was only a 50% chance, he would take the risk. Riches came from danger. This was the spirit of adventure. Maybe this spirit of adventure wasn't a good thing for cultivators, but for an entire country, it was the spirit of an adventurer who would always strive to become stronger. Now, many people, even scholars, would travel the world with their swords. They would come to the desolate lands to become adventurers and kill barbarians to obtain military merits and wealth. In the eyes of cultivators, these people were as weak as ants. But in such a small amount of power, sooner or later, a great spirit would be born. Any immortal cultivator grew up step by step from being a weakling. As Gu Chansha was thinking about this, he landed in Gu Tanjian's residence. "Ha, Brother Dang Xing, you finally appeared." A voice rang out. It was Gu Tanjian. His sleeves fluttered in the wind, and he seemed to have the ability to dominate the world. Gu Xinjian's talent. Gu Chensh's heart pounded violently because he could tell that Gu Xinjian's cultivation was already at the 22 changes of the Tao realm, the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth, the same realm as him. However, his talent was no longer that of an unparalleled genius, but that of a natural saint. However, on the surface, Gu Tanjian was still a peerless genius. Only Gu Chansha, with his comprehension of the heavenly Tao, could see Gu Tanjian's true nature. This innate sage aptitude must have been nurtured by the sorcerer ancestor and the great spirit god. If my guess is right, they must have used the chi of the sacred dragon in the depths of the dragon sect of the primordial universe to directly increase Gu Tanjian's aptitude. Gu Chansha immediately deduced a lot of information. This subordinate greets the Alliance Master. Gu Chansha was extremely polite. "Brother Dang Xing, what are you doing?" Gu Tanjian was a little surprised. "I'm the Heaven Alliance's special envoy." Naturally, I have to pay my respects to the Alliance Master. Gu Chansha smiled and said, "This time, I am here to represent the Wu clan to seek refuge with the Alliance Chief." "What do you mean?" Gu Tanjian let this Wu Dang Xing in front of him enter his residence's garden and sat down. "Are you able to represent the Wu clan?" "I have already obtained the authorization from the Wu clan's 9 divine grade old ancestors." Gu Chansha took out a talisman. This talisman had the authorization from a 9 divine grade old ancestors, and there was nothing fake about it. Brother Dang Xing really has great influence. Gu Tanjian's eyes flickered. "It seems like your status in the clan is so high. What exactly happened?" "It's very simple. The Legalism clan's Dharma Saint has returned, and the great spirit god and sorcerer ancestor have gone to reach some kind of agreement with the Dharma Saint. The many Wu clan's old ancestors have sensed great danger." Gu Chansha naturally acted mysteriously, and even Gu Tanjian was unable to figure it out. "I have suggested to the many Wu clan's old ancestors to work together with the Alliance Chief, hoping to obtain benefits from the Alliance Chief. Our Wu clan is willing to seek refuge with the Alliance Chief. You are indeed a character. You even know such secret information?" Gu Tanjian looked at Wu Dong Xing for a while. "However, if the Wu clan's 9 divine grade old ancestors seek refuge with me, I have nothing worth making use of. The things you want must be very demanding. I'm afraid this matter will be very difficult for me." "It's not us." Gu Chansha smiled. "I am me, and the Wu clan's old ancestor is the Wu clan's old ancestor. I'm just an errand boy. It's fine as long as I get my own benefits." "Oh." Gu Tanjian smiled slowly. "You actually have the intention to betray the Wu clan. I like it. I like people like you who will do anything to achieve your goals. However, you also have a powerful existence supporting you. Who is it? Tell me about it." Gu Chansha did not say anything and took out a talisman. When Gu Tanjian saw this talisman, his expression changed. Divergent. He could already sense the aura of the divergent in this talisman. "Chong Wei-yong?" "No, this isn't Chong Wei-yong. It's Martial Emperor." Gu Chansha said the truth. "The Martial Emperor revived and found me. He gave me some benefits and asked me to be his subordinate. He wants to obtain the Wu clan's power and conquer the world to restore the Wu dynasty." "I see." Although Gu Tanjian was a deep person, he was still shocked when he heard this news. Back then, the Martial Emperor was at the Tao realm's 36 transformations. He was at the highest realm of embodiment transformation and dominated the world. Even the righteous gods could not do anything to him. That was why he created such a huge foundation. Unfortunately, it was all for naught. Now that he has made a comeback and comprehended the divergent, he might be able to break through to the realm above the 36 transformations and fight against the 3 heavenly venerables. With the appearance of such a person, the world situation is once again complicated and unpredictable. It's fine. With the Alliance Master's intelligence, he will definitely be able to deal with it. Gu Qinsha said, actually, be it the Wu clan's old ancestor or the martial emperor, they all see me as a chess piece. Actually, the Alliance Master should be the same. You are also a chess piece of the Great Spirit God and the Sorcerer Ancestor. Only by working together will we be able to cause a backlash and obtain a huge opportunity. The future is going to be eventful, so we must not let our guard down. I didn't expect you to be such a talent. Gu Tanjian sighed. I really underestimated you in the past. In your opinion, what should I do? Naturally, you should borrow the power of the Great Spirit God and the Sorcerer Ancestor to establish your own stable foundation. Gu Qinsha said, however, the Alliance Master does not have any trustworthy subordinates. If we nurture some ingrates, it will be a waste of resources. That's right. Gu Shangjian agreed wholeheartedly. Actually, I'm very envious of the Tranquil Immortal Department. Although those people are enemies, they're very united and rarely plot against each other. Only by doing so can they suppress us to the point where we can't even breathe. The Calming Immortal Department is nothing to worry about. Gu Qinsha let out a cold snort. They don't have any deity-grade experts overseeing them, and they have many cardinal treasures. In the eyes of the various big shots, they're a piece of fat meat that everyone wants to swallow. I am willing to be at the Alliance Master's beck and call and do great things. As long as the Alliance Master gives me some benefits, it will be fine. What benefits do you want? Gu Tanjian smiled faintly. You are rather impressive. To think that you managed to convince the Wu clan's 9 deity-grade experts, and even the Wu clan's martial emperor. Now, you are here to ask for benefits from me. It can be said that you are benefiting from both sides. How can dealing with those deity-grade characters be as refreshing as dealing with the Alliance Master? Gu Qinsha tried his best to swindle some things from Gu Tanjian. Moreover, the Alliance Master might have the opportunity to obtain the power of these deity-grade experts, especially the Martial Emperor, who is an anomaly. You must know that the Martial Emperor is far from recovering. If we can take this opportunity to capture him, refine him, and bring him into a Grotto Heaven-grade artifact. Oh, you are really ambitious. Gu Tanjian's eyes turned grave. You know that I am refining a Grotto Heaven-grade artifact? I can even guess it. If the Alliance Master doesn't have a Grotto Heaven-grade artifact and a small world of his own, how will he be able to settle down in the future? Will he be able to contend against the various great clans of the Calming Immortal Department? Gu Qinsha said, however, the Alliance Master must be like the Calming Immortal Department. You are using an original Grotto Heaven-grade artifact to modify it and slowly nurture it, turning it into your own. Impressive. Gu Tanjian laughed heartily. It seems like your intelligence isn't inferior to that Wu Dankong. In this world, the true high-end power is the deity grade, and the deity grade is to have their own Grotto Heaven-grade small world. Without reaching the deity grade, if one wishes to condense their own Grotto Heaven, they will have to obtain an original Grotto Heaven-grade artifact. A Grotto Heaven is a world within a Grotto Heaven. Gu Qinsha said, however, a Grotto Heaven-grade artifact is also divided into different grades. The first one, condensed, is a microscopic world, followed by a minor kiliocosm, a medium kiliocosm, a major kiliocosm, and an endless world. Most deity-grade experts' worlds are microscopic worlds, while those aristocratic clans have condensed their worlds for thousands of years, which are minor kiliocosms. Recently, the school of legalism seems to be undergoing a world upgrade, which is to upgrade a minor kiliocosm to a medium kiliocosm. Once the upgrade is successful, They will be able to crush all the aristocratic clans' worlds. I wonder what level the artifact that the Alliance Master has obtained is. That's not something you can know. Gu Tanjian naturally wouldn't reveal this secret. Instead, he avoided the topic and said, the Calming Immortal Department's so-called sphere, the Heavenly Demon Book, is a minor kiliocosm. However, that group of people from the Calming Immortal Department actually fused all sorts of treasures into it and modified it into this sphere. This resulted in a loophole. Although it has great power, it has already become a microscopic world. This is because the will of the world is chaotic and not unified. The Calming Immortal Department also doesn't have a deity-grade expert to mediate the situation. This is like a large country. Although the country is strong, the people inside are all scheming against each other, and when war breaks out, they all end up dragging each other down. As a result, they are inferior to a small country. That's right. Gu Chinch's eyes flickered. I also want to have my own world. I wonder if the Alliance Master can grant my wish. You also want your own world? Gu Tanjian stood up abruptly. Wudong Xing, you sure talk big. If you want treasures, I can give them to you. But if you want your own world, your appetite is equivalent to wanting to devour the heavens. Thought you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.